Chapter 51. Facing Gu Yi's terrifying attack, Jun Outyin seemed to have expected it. There was no trace of panic on his face. Looking at the nether devil steel shadow descending from the sky, Jun Outyin's eyes were cold. In the next moment, Jun Outyin's true yuan surged out, and the rich yin and yang energy swept out. Then, Jun Outyin threw a punch at the nether devil steel shadow. This punch was filled with the shocking yin and yang energy. Great yin-yang demonic fist. A terrifying energy fluctuation surrounded Jun Outyin's fist, showing traces of abstruse and mysterious. In the next moment, under everyone's shocked gazes, Jun Outyin actually smashed the falling nether devil steel with just a pair of fists. Clang! In the next moment, an ear-piercing sound of metal clashing rang out. At the same time, Gu Yi's body seemed to have suffered a heavy blow. His body instantly retreated, and his eyes were filled with shock. Trash! You can't even take a punch from me, and you still want to take the inheritance from the ruins? Jun Outyin sneered, and the majestic true yuan swept out from his body again. He crazily circulated the true yuan in his body, and threw a punch at Gu Yi. In the next moment, the rich yin and yang energy surged out, and instantly condensed into a huge fist. Jun Outyin's heart moved, and the fist formed by the yin and yang energy carried an unparalleled power, and it swept toward the nether devil steel in an overbearing manner. Bang! The moment the two collided, the heavens and earth seemed to tremble violently. Everyone's ears suddenly went silent, and then a deafening roar reverberated in their ears. A destructive energy storm spread out from the void. Crack! A moment later, a strange sound rang out from the energy storm. The nether devil steel, which was originally intact, had cracks on it. It was obvious that it was severely damaged. On the other hand, Gu Yi's figure flew out from the energy storm, and his aura became extremely weak. It was obvious that he was severely injured. After severely injuring Gu Yi, Jun Outyin did not choose to attack this time. He already felt that he had been locked on by a strong killing intent. As long as he made a move on Gu Yi, he would definitely be attacked like a ***********. Jun Outyin did not need to think to know where this killing intent came from. It's your turn now. This time, I will completely finish you off. Jun Outyin slowly turned around, and his eyes were extremely cold as he looked at the resplendent sword light that was rushing over from the horizon. In the next moment, the rich power of yin and yang appeared again, and Shun Su condensed a huge fist made of yin and yang energy. Under Jun Outyin's control, the yin and yang fist, and fists hand to the sky. Jian Fingyun's expression was extremely solemn. He suddenly raised the profound ice sword in his hand, and an extremely cold sword light appeared, slashing down in Jun Outyin's direction. Wind Yi's, a sword light that was several feet long tore through the sky with a destructive sharpness. The cold sword intent landed on the fist mark formed by the power of yin and yang. The fist mark was torn in half, and the dazzling sword light continued to strike at Jun Outyin. Jun's his bodies. His is his afterimage? Jian Fingyun's expression changed slightly. He stomped his feet in the air and retreated. Just as Jian Fengyun was retreating, a fist that was condensed from yin and yang energy suddenly tore through the void and appeared. Black and white qi gushed out, and violently smashed onto Jian Fengyun's original position. A violent energy ripple spread out. Jian Fengyun looked at the domineering figure that slowly appeared, and his pupils constricted. How could this be? His speed has almost doubled. His physical strength has also increased by several times. Can you run away? Jun Outyin looked at the shocked Jian Fengyun, and a trace of ridicule flashed across his eyes. Just now, he had used a hidden trump card. Yin and Yang reversal secret technique. In a period of time, it could greatly increase one's strength. At this moment, whether it was his cultivation, speed, or physical strength, they had all increased by several times. Before his voice died away, Jun Outyin's S disappeared again. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Jian Fengyun. The Yi's fist was like lightning. It tore through the void, and smashed toward Jian Fengyun's head. Jian Fengyun's black ice sword swept out, and a monstrous sword essence spread out. Clang! Jun Outyin's fist landed on the sword peak. The sound of metal clashing resounded, and a shockwave that could be seen with the naked eye swept out in the void, where the two of them were standing. An extremely majestic seize caused Jian Fengyan to groan. The sword peak turned slightly, and the iron sword let out an ear-piercing whistle as he swung it. The dazzling sword light was like the Milky Way from the 9 heavens. It was unstoppable, and it went straight for Jun Outyan's chest. Jun Outyan snorted in the face of such a powerful sword light. A majestic true origin surged out from his back, and it vaguely turned into a pair of illusory black and white wings. The black and white wings flapped gently, and Jun Outyan's body almost turned into a bolt of lightning. In the blink of an eye, he dodged Jian Fengyan's sword light. He then took a step forward, and appeared behind Jian Fengyan. He raised his fist and punched toward Jian Fengyan. "You're too slow. You can't lock onto me." A terrifying pressure came from behind. Jian Fengyan's sword essence immediately appeared in the void. He activated his sword controlling technique, and a terrifying sword wind whizzed out, blocking Jun Outyan's fist. In the next moment, Jian Fengyan's body turned into a flowing light, and he flew into the distance. Clang! 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 His fists danced wildly as countless terrifying fist shadows whizzed down like meteorites, blasting away the surrounding sword winds. The black and white wings on Jun Outyan's back flapped, and he chased after Jian Fengyan like maggots. However, at this moment, a streak of dazzling light shot out. It was extremely sharp and filled with a chilling light, as if it was burning with endless blood. It ripped through the air, and appeared behind Jun Outyan in an instant. Jun Outyan's figure suddenly stopped. The black and white wings on his back suddenly spread out, wrapping around his body like a giant cocoon. Clang! The sword beam collided with the giant cocoon, and the sound of metal clashing rang out. Everyone raised their eyes to look. This sword beam actually came from an ordinary green peak ancient sword. A sharp sword intent flowed from it. Jun Outyan had made his move. Woo! 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 A mournful ghost howl resounded in the air. Everyone was shocked as they saw the dazzling sword light streaking across the sky like a meteor. It was dazzling and resplendent as it descended from the sky like a boundless sea. This was Jun Outyan's move. Seeing that Gu Yi and Jian Fengyan were completely suppressed by Jun Outyan had no choice but to make his move. Chapter 52. A mournful voice that sounded like a ghost's howl resounded in the air. Hearing this voice, everyone was extremely shocked in their hearts. In the next moment, an incomparably resplendent sword light slashed towards the black and white cocoon like a rapidly falling meteor. Clang! The sound of metal clashing against metal resounded. Facing such a terrifying sword light, Jun Outyan's transformation into a giant black and white cocoon remained unmoving, as steady as Mount Tai. However, if one paid careful attention, they would discover that after receiving this sword strike, the yin and yang energy on the giant black and white cocoon seemed to have dimmed quite a bit. Brother Outyan. Seeing Jun Outyan appear, Jian Fengyan and Gu Yi's faces revealed a trace of ecstasy. At such a critical moment, Jun Outyan appeared in time, causing them to regain their confidence in defeating Jun Outyan. Brother Jian, Brother Gu, I came late. Holding the ancient green peak sword in his hand, Jun Outyan said apologetically to Jian Fengyan and Gu Yi. No, Brother Outyan came at the right time. Jian Fengyan's face revealed a rare brilliant smile. Oh right, Brother Outyan, where are the others? Where's Brother Pang? Gu Yi looked behind him, but did not see a trace of anyone. Ugh! They. Hearing this, Jun Outyan immediately felt awkward. How could he know if the others had come or not? Brother Gu, I'm coming. At this moment, a huge black shadow flew over at high speed. Everyone looked over, and saw that it was Pang Bo. At this moment, Pang Bo was carrying a huge black rod on his shoulder. There were blood-colored lines carved on it, making it look extraordinary. It was obvious that it was also an origin tool. Brother Pang. Seeing Pang Bo's arrival, Gu Yi's face was extremely excited. At this time, Pang Bo's arrival was undoubtedly an extremely important battle force. Alright, there's no time to lose. Let's deal with Jun Outyan first. Jun Outyan said. Brother Outyan is right. Hearing this, Gu Yi nodded. Then, everyone once again looked at the giant cocoon that Jun Outyan had condensed. Although Jun Aotion's secret technique is overbearing, it's not invincible. Once he uses the secret technique, his strength will skyrocket, but it will consume a lot of his energy. Everyone, he won't be able to hold on for much longer. As long as we exhaust his energy, once he leaves this state, he will definitely die. Jian Fengyan stared coldly at the giant cocoon that Jun Aoyan had turned into. He forcefully suppressed the surging blood qi in his body. Subsequently, Jian Fengyan activated the remaining true essence in his body and struck out several origin seals. In the next moment, a huge sword light that emitted a cold aura condensed from the sword wind cloud mysterious ice sword. With a thought, Jian Fengyan controlled the huge sword light to tear the cocoon apart. Hehe, I don't believe that Jun Aotion can survive the attacks of so many people. Pang Bo could not help but make a move as well. He swung the black rod on his back and poured his quintessential essence into it. In the next moment, a terrifying murderous aura surged from the black rod. Roar! Ferocious aura surged out and condensed into the shadow of a dragon on the black stick. The shadow of the dragon coiled around the black stick and danced ferociously. Subsequently, Pang Bo raised the black stick in his hand and attacked the giant cocoon like a demon. Gui pondered for a moment and seemed to have made up his mind. In the next moment, he burned a portion of his blood essence and sucked in the nether devil steel that Jun Aoyan had broken. Immediately, the nether devil steel turned into a ray of black light and flew into his hand. The originally broken part of it was actually intact. Nether devil eye. A trace of blood red flashed in Guyi's eyes. Streams of murderous aura surged from his body and entered the nether devil steel. In the next moment, a huge blood red eye that was dozens of feet long slowly appeared on the nether devil steel shadow. Terrifying energy surged on the blood red eye. In the next moment, a terrifying beam of blood red light shot out from the blood red eye and swept towards the giant cocoon. Boom! Deafening booms resounded incessantly. Under such a terrifying attack, even the giant cocoon began to tremble on the verge of collapse. After seeing that everyone had made their move, Jun Aoyan also made his move. With a light swing of the ancient green peak sword, a dazzling ray of sword light shot out. Streaks of sword light that resembled waterfalls appeared in the void and intertwined with each other. The momentum was vast and majestic. In the end, it enveloped the giant cocoon. Blinding rays of light exploded in the sky. Intense energy swept across the sky like a raging tsunami, shaking the heavens and earth. Everyone's gaze was fixed on the giant cocoon in the void. Under Jun Aoyan and the rest's violent attacks, the yin-yang energy on the giant cocoon became thinner and dimmer. At the same time, cracks started to appear on the giant cocoon. Seeing this scene, everyone knew that the giant cocoon wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. Put in more effort. Break this tortoise shell. Let's see if Jun Aoyan still dares to be arrogant. Pang Bo grinned. The black iron pillar left his hand and fell from the sky with mountain-breaking power. It smashed into the blood cocoon. The entire blood cocoon trembled, and more cracks appeared on it. At that moment, Jun Aoyan's eyes narrowed. An extremely familiar wave of energy seeped out from the cracks. It was the wave of the yin-yang energy. Oh no! Everyone be careful! Jian Fengyan also sensed the aura, and his face changed drastically. Bang! In the next moment, an explosion occurred along with the wind. The entire giant cocoon crumbled. Streaks of dazzling starlight shot out from the void and gathered together to form a starry sky. In the starry sky, Jun Aoyan looked at Jun Aoyan and the rest with a mocking expression. A bunch of idiots. Dazzling black and white light spread out. An ancient and vast starry sky unfolded in the void like a painting. Jun Aoyan stood tall and proud in the vast starry sky. His thin figure was emitting an aura that made one's heart palpitate. Under the backdrop of the monstrous black and white light, he was like an azura bathed in blood from the other side of the starry sky. His momentum was extremely terrifying. Jun Aoyan looked at the starry sky that appeared in the void with a serious expression. He could sense that the essence energy within a radius of 3,000 meters was gathering towards this starry sky. In the next moment, 5 gigantic Taiji 8 trigram seal images slowly appeared in the starry sky, spanning across the heaven and earth. Looking at the 5 Taiji 8 trigram seal images, Everyone's breathing gradually quickened. It was as if a mountain was pressing down on their hearts, making them feel extremely oppressed. This is Origin Array. Looking at the 5 Taiji 8 trigram seal floating behind Jun Outyin, Jian Fengyan's pupils constricted as he exclaimed. Origin Array masters were the same as alchemists. They were both rare professions in this world, and were extremely important. No wonder Jun Outyin had been hiding in the giant cocoon all this time. So he was condensing an origin array. I wonder if this formation can suppress Gu Yi and the others. What a joke. Jun Outyin was able to suppress Gu Yi and the others before he used the origin array, let alone now. Gu Yi and the others will definitely lose. Cries of alarm filled the air. The cultivators around the Netherworld Lake once again retreated, worried that they would be affected by the upcoming battle. I didn't expect you to be an array master. Gui looked at Jun Outyin with a serious expression. To be able to force me to this extent, you guys are not bad. Jun Outyin's scarlet eyes swept across Jun Outyin and the others like a wild beast. His deep voice was filled with blood. Now I'll give you all a chance. Submit to me or die. Although my Gu family is not the strongest in the Nether sect, it is still a reputable family. If I submit to you, then how can I Gui establish myself in the Nether sect in the future? Gui chuckled, but there was no trace of a smile in his eyes. He stared at the origin array behind Jun Outyin with a serious expression. If Gui was already like this, then there was no need to mention Jian Fengyan. The Jian family was the ruler of the Proud Sword Villa, and as the #1 person in the Jian family's younger generation, his every move represented the Jian family. Is there any way to break this origin array? Jian Fengyan turned to Gu Yi and asked. Gui looked at Jian Fengyan and said in a deep voice, break it one by one. You and I will break 2 formation seals respectively. Brother Pang will break 1 formation seal, and Jun Outyin will be dealt with by Brother Outyin for the time being. Sure. Jian Fengyan and Pang Bo nodded with serious expressions. What does Brother Outyin think? Gui looked at Jun Outyin. Right now, the only one who could fight against Jun Outyin was probably Jun Outyin. Jun Outyin also nodded in agreement. Compared to the others, he could feel the terror of this origin array more clearly. Then let's do it. Jian Fengyan shouted coldly. His eyes became extremely ferocious. He stomped his feet and formed a seal with his hands. A sharp sword light was emitted from his hands. The moment he finished speaking, Jian Fengyan had already turned into a golden ray of light and soared into the sky. Damn it, I don't believe that a full force attack can't break through a formation seal. Demon Dragon Attack. Pang Bo's body rose from the ground, like a giant dragon that was hibernating in the abyss, and on the black iron pillar in his hand, scarlet lines suddenly appeared. These lines actually started to squirm, fusing with the dragon image on the black iron pillar, causing the dragon image to become incomparably condensed. From afar, Pang Bo's hands seemed to be holding onto the shadow of a flood dragon, fiercely waving it towards the formation seal in the sky. Gui also made his move, and used his full strength the moment he made his move. Now they all knew that they were grasshoppers on the same string. For a time, incomparably violent energy fluctuations wreaked havoc in this world. Everyone watched this scene nervously. They didn't know if Jun Outyin would be able to block their full strength attacks. Chapter 53. Jun Outyin is at his peak, so I can't fight him head-on for the time being. I'll use Gu Yi and the others to exhaust Jun Outyin's strength first. Jun Outyin muttered to himself. As long as the time for Jun Outyin's secret technique was up, it would be the time for him to kill him. Looking at Jun Outyin, the corner of Jun Outyin's mouth raised into a sneer, and with a stomp of his feet, his body rose from the ground. The flame wings on his back drew 2 dense afterimages in the air, like a Kuan Peng soaring up to 90,000 miles. The ancient green peak sword in his hand seemed to be about to shatter the void. The cold light was dazzling, and tens of thousands of rays of light bloomed in the void. Countless sword chi tore out, whistling towards Jun Outyin in the void. The game is over. Jun Outyin's eyes were scarlet, and a faint ridicule appeared on his indifferent face. Just as Jian Fengyan had said, the yin-yang inversion secret technique consumed a lot of Jun Outyin's true essence. He could not maintain such a powerful state for a long time. Therefore, his attack this time would definitely be a thunderous strike, completely wiping out these people. Jun Outyan's hands formed a series of extremely strange seals at lightning speed, and the origin energy in this area once again churned violently. Vigorous true essence surged out from Jun Outyan's body, and in the next moment, a huge fist shadow that was several feet wide condensed in Jun Outyan's hand. An extremely terrifying energy fluctuation slowly spread out in all directions. Great Yin-Yang demonic fist. Jun Outyan suddenly waved towards Jun Outyan, and the huge fist shadow immediately swept towards Jun Outyan, with a terrifying fluctuation. Jun Outyan's strength, after using the secret technique, is too terrifying. Even while maintaining the origin formation, he can still use such a terrifying Great Yin-Yang demonic fist. Looking at the huge fist shadow that swept across the sky, the surrounding martial warriors were all secretly speechless. This terrifying fist shadow condensed from the power of Yin and Yang was extremely fast, and in an instant, it arrived in front of Jun Outyan. At this moment, Jun Outyan's sword light also collided with the fist shadow. Jun Outyan's sword light landed on the fist shadow, but it was unable to cause any damage to the fist shadow. Humph. Seeing that the Great Yin-Yang demonic fist had stalled Jun Outyan, Jun Outyan sneered, and looked at Gu Yi and the others. A trace of extreme killing intent flashed in his eyes as Jun Outyan waved his hands in the air, throwing out a Tao Xianao hand spell. In the next moment, a huge origin seal appeared in Jun Outyan's hand. Boom! 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 The moment the origin seal appeared, the 5 Taiji 8 trigram seals in the starry sky began to circulate, and vast amounts of origin chi poured into it. The Yin-Yang annihilation formation is one entity. How can you say that we can break it one by one? What a bunch of idiots! Jun Outyan clasped his hands together once again, and the 5 Taiji 8 trigram seal immediately burst out with resplendent starlight. Behind them, it was like a meteor from outer space, carrying a terrifying energy that could destroy everything as it smashed towards Gu Yi and the other two. Bang bang bang! A terrifying collision erupted in the void, causing the world to tremble violently. By the shore of the Netherworld Lake, the spectating martial warriors were all frantically fleeing, as they looked at the sky with shock in their eyes. There, a storm filled with destructive fluctuations swept out, enveloping the sky above the Netherworld Lake. The entire space seemed to be on the verge of collapse. This scene caused everyone to be overwhelmed with shock, especially some of the martial artists at the second level of True Essence realm. They originally thought that the difference between them and these monstrous martial warriors was only one level of cultivation difference. But now they realized that the gap was actually so big. With their current strength, if they were to charge into those energy storms, they would definitely be smashed to pieces. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the point of collision. They also knew that the winner and loser would be decided at this moment. At this moment, by the shore of the Netherworld Lake, the spectating disciples of the Nether sect, and the disciples of the Proud Sword Villa, were all looking at this scene with anticipation. They also knew that if Gu Yi and Jian Fengyan were to fall here, even if they didn't die, they would have to hide like mice. Damn it! I don't believe that I can't break this origin formation of yours. Pang Bo's furious roar echoed in the air, as he crazily swung the black iron pillar in his hand. Gu Yi and Jian Fengyan also crazily launched their attacks. They were all the best amongst their peers. All sorts of methods emerged from their bodies as their attacks continued without end. Under the relentless bombardment of the three of them, the light emitted by the 5 Taiji 8 trigram seal gradually dimmed. The 5 Taiji 8 trigram seal also revealed traces of cracks. How can the light of a firefly compete with the brilliance of the sun and moon? Jun Outyan expressionlessly looked at Gu Yi and the other two's desperate counterattack. His hands formed a seal once again, causing the stars to roll back and the heaven and earth to tremble. Streams of origin energy storms suddenly formed in the starry sky and poured into the origin formation below, causing the origin formation to once again emit a resplendent light. Bang! In the sky, 3 figures seemed to have suffered a heavy blow. Their bodies were on the verge of collapse. Blood mist filled the air, and their auras were dispirited. In the end, They fell towards the netherworld lake. Looking at this scene, the eyes of the martial warriors present were filled with shock. He blocked it. Not only did Jun Outyin block the attacks of these 5 people, he had also heavily injured them. In everyone's senses, whether it was Gu Yi or Jian Fengyan, their auras had become weak, and they were on the verge of death. We lost. The disciples of the Nether sect and the disciples of the Proud Sword Villa no longer had any color on their faces. Their expressions were filled with fear. Jun Outyin is too strong. It wouldn't be bad if such an expert could follow him. He would definitely be able to make a name for himself in the future. That's right, Gu Yi and the others are too arrogant. Following such an expert is not a disgrace to them. Most of the martial warriors looked at Jun Outyin with eyes full of fanaticism. There were even some beautiful women who had looks of admiration on their faces. It was obvious that they were convinced by Jun Outyin's elegance and had swept away Gu Yi and the other 2 with their own strength. At this moment, a dazzling sword light tore through the air. The fist shadow was torn apart, turning into specks of light that filled the sky and dissipated. The great Yin-Yang Devil Fist has been broken. So what? The Yin-Yang Annihilation Formation is still here, and Gu Yi and the others are already heavily injured. With just his own strength, he can block the Yin-Yang Annihilation Formation. It's over. I wonder if this person will tactfully choose to submit. If he continues to resist, he will follow in the footsteps of Gu Yi and the others. Looking at the white-clothed youth who was standing with his sword in hand, many martial warriors revealed mocking expressions as they whispered to each other. Jun Outyin looked at the demonic godlike figure in the starry sky, and his eyes couldn't help but narrow. Originally, he thought that no matter how weak Gu Yi and the others were, they would be able to fight until both sides were injured and destroy the Yin-Yang Annihilation Formation. However, he didn't expect that the 3 of them would be defeated the moment they met. Right now, although Gu Yi and the others had destroyed a portion of the array seals within the origin array, the origin array could still operate. It was just that its power was not as strong as before. In the starry sky, Jun Outyin stood in the air, looking down at Jun Outyin from above. The corner of his mouth slowly lifted into a smile. Is it too late for you to choose to submit to me now? Submit to you. Hearing this, Jun Outyin's face revealed a mocking expression as he coldly said, I'm sorry, but you're not worthy. You're courting death. Jun Outyin snorted coldly as he pressed both of his hands towards the starry sky. 5 rays of yin and yang light shot out from the 5 Taiji 8 trigram seals that were hovering in the air, shooting straight towards Jun Outyin. Chapter 54. Boom! 5 resplendent beams of light condensed from pure yin and yang energy shot out from the yin-yang annihilation formation. It carried the power to shatter the void as it pressed down towards Jun Outyin. Under these 5 thick beams of light, Jun Outyin's figure seemed incomparably small. Brother Outyin. Seeing this scene, Gu Yi, who had fallen to the ground, had a look of despair on his face. Right now, Jun Outyin was their only chance at survival. If Jun Outyin died in Jun Outyin's hands, then they would not be able to escape this calamity. Around the Netherworld Lake, when the spectating martial warriors saw this scene, a trace of regret appeared in their eyes. What a pity! 5 pillars of light condensed from the power of yin and yang tore through the void. Wherever they passed, the entire void would tremble. What a pity! This person shouldn't be too old. He seems to only be in his 20s. To have such a cultivation at such a young age, he can be said to be extremely talented. If he is given a period of time to develop, he will definitely become the pride of the younger generation. Even if he enters the sacred land, he will still be considered an outstanding talent. Some of the martial warriors looked at Jun Outyin with expressions of regret. In this world, the ones who were most likely to die prematurely were these brilliant geniuses. If he had chosen to submit to Jun Outyin, he wouldn't have ended up like this. A rogue cultivator revealed a fanatical look. Jun Outyin's demeanor had completely subdued him. Boom! 5 beams of yin and yang energy tore through the void, and under the terrifying gazes of Gu Yi, Jian Fengyan and the rest, they crashed down. A terrifying wave of energy leaked out, tearing through the void, causing the entire world to look exceptionally distorted. This destructive power caused everyone's hearts to palpitate. They never thought that the power of the yin-yang annihilation formation would be so terrifying. Looking at the thin and weak figure that was covered by the power of yin and yang, Gu Yi, Jian Fengyan, and the rest revealed extremely solemn expressions. They asked themselves, if they were to face this terrifying power of yin and yang, they would definitely die. Did he fail? Seeing this scene in the air, Naylan Shuer, who was hiding in the forest, softly said with regret. Her tone was very strange, but it was pure regret. He seemed to have expected this result. Naylan Shuer looked at Jun Aotian. In her previous life, she had seen his final trump card with her own eyes. He knew that Jun Aotian and the others had yet to force Jun Aotian to use his trump card. The outcome of this battle seemed to have been decided. It's just that I don't understand why things have changed so drastically. As Naylan Shuer muttered to herself, she looked at Pang Bo, who was lying on the ground. Pang Bo, who was Jun Aotian's good brother in the previous life, and was known as the Ferocious Demon, actually colluded with outsiders to deal with Jun Aotian in this life. Naylan Shuer's tone was filled with surprise and confusion. He was very confused about all of this. In her memory, the two people who had gained the most from the ruins in her previous life were Jun Aotian and Pang Bo. Looking at Pang Bo, Naylan Shuer's heart couldn't help but ripple. In his previous life, the owner of this nether profound flame was Pang Bo. Perhaps because he had changed a lot of things, the development of things would be different from his previous life. Jun Aotian, after losing Pang Bo, your right-hand man, will you reach the height of your previous life? Naylan Shuer said with a complicated gaze. Above the void, Jun Aotian's purple robe fluttered in the wind. With an incomparably arrogant expression on his face, Jun Aotian looked down at the raging starlight from above. 5 Tai Chi 8 trigrams seals hovered above the netherworld lake like 5 mountains. After the fierce battle with Gu Yi, even though the yin-yang annihilation formation was slightly damaged, its power was no longer as strong as before. However, the power of the entire origin formation was not something that Jun Aotian could withstand alone. Although this attack only unleashed 70% of the yin-yang annihilation formation's power, it should be enough to deal with this guy. Jun Aotian muttered softly. At this moment, although he looked arrogant on the surface, he was a little anxious in his heart. At this moment, he was already strong on the outside but weak on the inside. There was not much true essence left in his body. As for the yin-yang reversal secret technique, it was almost time. Fortunately, he had made the right bet. He used a supreme secret technique and defeated these people with thunderous methods. Looking at Gu Yi and the others who were lying on the ground, Jun Aotian was extremely pleased. Next, there should be no one who could go against him. After all, the primordial ruins belonged to him. Thinking about the primordial ruins, Jun Aotian's heart was filled with excitement. Ever since he had entered the primordial ruins, he had felt a mysterious force calling out to him. This force seemed to be very similar to the yin-yang force that he controlled. Jun Aotian's eyes flashed with excitement. If he could obtain the inheritance of the ruins, his strength would definitely increase tremendously. At that time, perhaps he would be qualified to compete with those people. With that thought in mind, Jun Aotian's face suddenly turned pale. His aura rapidly decreased, and he seemed to have become a little weak. Feeling all of this, Jun Aotian's face turned ugly. The yin-yang reversal secret technique's time limit was up. Fortunately, everything was under his control. Now even if his strength had decreased, no one was a match for him. Such a thought appeared in Jun Aotian's mind. But in the next moment, Jun Aotian's body suddenly trembled, and his pupils constricted as he looked down at the starry sky. On the other side, Gu Yi and Jian Fengyan, who had been casting their divine souls over, also sensed something. They all looked over with astonishment. There, the sound of heavy footsteps suddenly rang out. This sound of footsteps caused the commotion in the sky to stop abruptly. Most of the martial artists also sensed that something was wrong, and looked over in surprise. Under the gazes of countless people, a figure slowly appeared. This figure was extremely thin, and his white clothes were dripping with scarlet blood. He slowly walked out of the starry sky with starlight on his feet. Then he raised his head, and a brilliant smile appeared on his overly white face. Countless people's eyes widened in shock, their eyes filled with disbelief. It's him. He actually blocked the yin-yang annihilation formation. How is this possible? Jun Haoyan frowned and couldn't help but cry out. He looked at Jun Haoyan with a hint of surprise in his eyes. Brother Haoyan, he actually blocked the power of the formation by himself. Gu Yi's eyes revealed some astonishment as he sucked in a breath of cold air. Bang! Bang! Jun Haoyan walked out with heavy steps. He raised his head and looked at Jun Haoyan. Behind him, the figure of an ancient mammoth slowly appeared. Strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant. Jun Haoyan directly circulated the strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant. An incomparably vigorous energy swept out from Jun Haoyan's body, rippling through Jun Haoyan's limbs and bones. Jun Haoyan's aura suddenly skyrocketed. The starry sky beneath Jun Haoyan's feet shook violently, and the starlight that filled the air dissipated. The entire place was deathly silent. Everyone's mouth was wide open as they stared at this scene in a daze. In their senses, Jun Haoyan's aura was rising at an extremely terrifying speed. In just a few breaths of time, the true chi fluctuations surging out from Jun Haoyan's body were no less than Jun Haoyan's from before, and the terrifying oppressive feeling caused the breathing of all the cultivators present to quicken. How could he have such terrifying strength? Most of the martial artists stared blankly at Jun Haoyan's back, and their hearts were in turmoil. What kind of cultivation technique is this? Jun Haoyan's heart trembled as he looked at the embarrassed young man in front of him in disbelief. At this time, the latter also slowly raised his head. His black eyes were like the nine nether abyss, and no one could see clearly. The corner of Jun Haoyan's mouth lifted slightly. Did you have fun fighting? Idiot, it's my turn now. The flame wings were like a blade that shot out from Jun Haoyan's back. Jun Haoyan suddenly stepped out, and the sharp sound of breaking wind gradually rang out. It was as if he had teleported, and almost instantly appeared in front of Jun Haoyan. He flapped his wings, and a wave of sword intent appeared, turning into a sword wind, and swept towards Jun Haoyan with an unparalleled momentum. Jun Haoyan could actually control the nine tribulations sword intent as he wished. At the same time, Jun Haoyan's fist smashed towards Jun Haoyan without any fancy moves. At this time, the nine tribulations sword intent showed its terrifying power. Wherever the sword wind swept, countless ripples appeared, and it was as if the void was about to be torn apart. Sensing the terrifying fluctuation behind him, Jun Haoyan's fist, which was glowing with blood, suddenly blasted out again. At this time, the air in front of him was oppressed to the point of exploding. Everyone could see that wherever Jun Haoyan's fist passed, the void was faintly distorted. It was obvious that the power of this fist was extremely terrifying. Clang! The two fists collided, and the sound of metal clashing immediately reverberated in the void. Terrifying waves of wind swept out from between the two, and the heaven and earth within 100 feet of them shook violently. A cold sneer surfaced from the corners of Jun Haoyan's mouth, as he saw that the sword wind that had swept across the land behind him was frantically converging together. Looking from afar, a black tornado suddenly formed between heaven and earth. However, this black tornado quickly dissipated, and a sword shadow about 10 feet long tore out. The moment this sword shadow formed, there was the sound of a sword whistling between heaven and earth, and ripples spread out on both sides of the sword shadow. What harm is there in slaughtering the entire world? Whoosh! This sword shadow about 10 feet long tore through the sky, and with an unparalleled sharpness, it slashed towards Jun Haoyan, and the entire heaven and earth was shrouded in the fierce sword intent. Jun Haoyan's face became a little ugly, and he suddenly took a few steps back. As he turned around, traces of blood seeped out from his pores and gathered on his fist. It turned into a ball of blood fire that burned and wrapped around his fist. He blasted out his fist again, and the vigorous true origin madly gathered, and it collided with the sword light that was slashing down. Bang! The fierce sword intent rippled out, tearing apart the blood fire on Jun Haoyan's fist. If it were not for the blood fire, Jun Haoyan's fist would have been torn apart by the sword intent. After barely blocking this sword shadow with one punch, Jun Haoyan did not hesitate at all. He stomped his feet in the void, and his whole body turned into a blood shadow and retreated. However, Jun Haoyan seemed to have seen through Jun Haoyan's next move, and the moment Jun Haoyan retreated, his figure flashed and appeared. The fist that was filled with sword intent fiercely bombarded Jun Haoyan's back, and the fierce sword intent leaked out, tearing apart the true origin shield that was circulating around Jun Haoyan's body. Crack! The sound of bones cracking came from Jun Haoyan's back. Jun Haoyan's fist had shattered all the bones in his back. At the same time, the terrifying sword intent tore numerous sword marks on his back and rushed into Jun Haoyan's body, tearing apart his meridians and flesh. Jun Haoyan could not react in time, and after taking the punch, he was sent flying. A ray of cold light pierces 10,000 fathoms. Just as Jun Haoyan was sent flying, a dazzling sword light tore through the void, and sword intent lingered on the sharp tip of the sword. Jun Haoyan's pupil shrank, and only then did he notice the sword light. His body that was sent flying suddenly stopped in the void, and he tried to dodge the sword light. However, he still underestimated the speed of the sword light, which flashed by almost instantly and slashed across his chest. A dazzling scarlet sword light appeared and burst out. Damn it! Jun Haoyan's face was filled with rage. Jun Haoyan's sudden change had caught him off guard. The show has just begun. Jun Haoyan's voice suddenly rang out in the void, and his figure appeared behind Jun Haoyan like a ghost, and his fist was sent flying again. The next moment, under the countless shocked gazes, it landed heavily on Jun Haoyan's back. Crack! The sound of bones cracking rang out again, and Jun Haoyan's body shot forward like a cannonball, crashing hard into the ground, and his whole body dragged a scarlet trail on the ground. Countless people widened their eyes, and they looked at the scene in shock. The whole world fell into a dead silence. Chapter 55. Looking at the figure that heavily crashed into the ground, the entire place was deathly silent. Puff! Jun Haoyan stabilized his body and spat out a mouthful of dark red blood. His eyes were filled with incomparable fear as he looked at the youth, holding the sword in the sky. His expression suddenly turned sinister. Ever since he could cultivate, this was the first time he was in such a sorry state. As expected of the son of destiny, he is indeed an unkillable cockroach. Jun Haoyan's eyes were incomparably clear. His sharp gaze locked onto Jun Haoyan, who was on the ground. He raised his hand, and the ancient green peak sword suddenly turned around in the air and landed in his hand. The moment he held onto the ancient green peak sword, Jun Haoyan's figure suddenly rushed out, heading straight for Jun Haoyan. The ancient green peak sword in his hand was like a sword mountain as it slowly slashed down. Endless sword chi raged out like a torrent, as if there were tens of thousands of sword beams piercing through the sky, enveloping the entire netherworld lake. Countless people were shocked once again. This level of sword technique was too terrifying. In the air, Gu Yi and the others were also shocked. This was because they could sense the terrifying power contained within Jun Haoyan's sword, especially the sword intent that permeated the air. It made them shudder even though it wasn't cold. Jun Haoyan's expression became extremely ugly. An incomparably sharp feeling seeped in from all directions, making it impossible for him to dodge. He knew that the surrounding heaven and earth had already been locked onto by Jun Haoyan's sword intent. I never thought that I, Jun Haoyan, would be forced into such a sorry state one day. But it's not that easy to kill me. Jun Haoyan sneered. His bleeding teeth looked extremely creepy at this moment. His hands quickly formed a seal. In the distant starry sky, 5 Taiji 8 trigrams seals soared into the sky, bringing with them an incomparably majestic power. I can even resist the power of the origin array at its peak, let alone the current U. A mocking smile appeared on Jun Haoyan's face. Behind him, a sea of blood suddenly appeared, and the illusory figures of the 12 demon gods appeared. Dutian Demon God Technique. Activate. Within the radius of thousands of feet, natural powers crazily surged towards Jun Haoyan. Witnessing this scene, all the martial warriors, including Gu Yi, revealed expressions of shock. The entire world was in an uproar. Seeing this scene, Gu Yi's heart beat faster. He had once given Jun Haoyan an extremely high evaluation of his strength. However, it seemed that he had underestimated Jun Haoyan's strength. How can a mere native protagonist be compared to a transmigrator like me? Jun Haoyan sneered. With a thought, the power of the 12 demon gods was added. Holding the ancient green peak sword in his hand, a dazzling sword light carrying the power of the demon gods slowly appeared. Dazzling sword light burst out, tearing through space, and sweeping towards the yin-yang annihilation formation in the void. Bang! A deep voice immediately rumbled through the surroundings. A visible gust of wind swept out from the void, as the resplendent sword light directly shattered the yin-yang annihilation formation. The 5 Tai Chi 8 trigrams seal in the void disappeared. With the yin-yang annihilation formation destroyed, Jun Haoyan's black hair danced like a snake. However, there was not much panic in his eyes. "Hehe, do you think you have one?" With a maniacal smile on his face, Jun Haoyan looked at Jun Haoyan with a cold gaze. In the next moment, a black magic pot appeared in front of Jun Haoyan. Jun Haoyan activated all the remaining true energy in his body and crazily poured it into the black magic pot. At the same time, a bloody mist seeped out from Jun Haoyan's pores and slowly merged into the black magic pot. The scarlet blood mist rapidly churned. In the next moment, a shrill ghost howl suddenly resounded. In the end, under countless stunned gazes, the black devil jar that was originally the size of a human head actually transformed into a scarlet devil jar that was the size of a mountain. Sticky blood dripped down from the gigantic magic pot. However, one could still vaguely see the ferocious Azura face carved on the gigantic tower. It was extremely eerie. As soon as the gigantic red magic pot was formed, it shot up into the sky and blocked the sword chi and sword essence that were descending from the sky. It then collided with the sword light that was slashing down. Clang! There was a clear sound of metal clashing as energy ripples that could be seen with the naked eye spread out. Jun Haoyan's sword was easily blocked by the crimson magic pot. This is Jun Haoyan's gold finger? Looking at the gigantic crimson pot, Jun Haoyan's mind jolted. He suddenly recalled that Jun Haoyan's gold finger seemed to be a broken black magic pot. The black magic pot seemed to be able to devour any kind of energy. By devouring energy, the black magic pot seemed to be able to level up continuously. It could even store the absorbed energy to help Jun Haoyan increase his ability. At that moment, Jun Haoyan looked at the crimson magic pot in the sky with a grave expression. He felt an extreme sense of danger from the crimson pot. "What is this? Could it be a precious weapon?" Gui exclaimed as he looked at the abstruse and mysterious on the crimson magic pot. His eyes were filled with shock. Jian Fingyun's heart was also in turmoil. He had thought that he knew a lot about Jun Haoyan. However, now it seemed that Jun Haoyan had hidden his abilities well. It was unbelievable that he even had a precious weapon, heaven-devouring magic pot. At that moment, in the depths of the forest, Naylan Schwer looked at the crimson magic pot in the sky. Her expression turned a little crazy. Her face was pale as a scene slowly appeared in her mind. A gigantic crimson pot that looked like a mountain was suspended in the sky above the Great Yin Empire, covering the sky above the Great Yin Empire. The crimson pot emitted black and white light that covered the entire Great Yin Empire. A tremendous devouring force gushed out of the blood-colored jug, sucking all the people in the imperial capital into the jug. After that day, the Great Yin Empire's Great Yin Empire was completely annihilated. There was no sign of life at all. Not even a corpse could be found. That day, the Great Yin Empire was declared dead. Naylan Schwer clearly remembered that there was an arrogant purple figure standing on top of the blood-colored jar. He looked at the annihilated Great Yin Empire's Great Yin Empire and laughed arrogantly. Jun Haoyan. Naylan Schwer's eyes were filled with hatred as she stared at Jun Haoyan in the sky above the Netherworld Lake. She said coldly, "I will never let that happen again in this life." Above the Netherworld Lake, Jun Haoyan stared at Jun Haoyan, who had a serious expression on his face and said slowly, "In the entire younger generation, there are only a few people who can force me to this extent. If you can defeat me today, I, Jun Haoyan, will be at your mercy." Heaven-devouring magic pot. As his last words fell, Jun Haoyan suddenly clasped his hands together. Vaguely, the crimson magic pot suddenly soared into the sky. The Azura ghost face on it squirmed, and a monstrous evil aura filled the air. In the next moment, extremely rich black and white light surged out of the crimson pot like a raging river. Chapter 56. In an instant, countless rays of black and white light shone like the sun, enveloping the entire space. Everything in the surroundings, including the vital energy, demonic energy, and even the ground, was devoured by the black and white light. Seeing this, Jun Haoyan felt his scalp go numb, and a strong sense of danger rose in his heart. As the black and white light shone from the blood-red giant jar, the entire space was completely covered by the black and white light. It's over. Looking at Jun Haoyan laughed maniacally. In the end, I'm the one who has the last laugh. Before he finished speaking, a powerful devouring force gushed out from the heaven-devouring demonic jar. The target of the devouring force was Jun Haoyan. Oh no! Feeling the strange devouring force, Jun Haoyan's expression changed, and he immediately activated the divine elephant overpowering force. Roar! Suddenly, the shadow of an ancient mammoth appeared. A strong suppressive force surged in the void, faintly resisting the devouring force. My heaven-devouring demonic jar has been upgraded to a treasure. As long as your cultivation is not higher than true energy stage 6, you can't resist this devouring force. Seeing that Jun Haoyan was able to resist the devouring force of the heaven-devouring demonic jar, Jun Haoyan frowned, then smiled coldly. In the next moment, he activated the remaining true energy in his body and hit the heaven-devouring demonic jar with several vital seals. Boom! Then, Jun Haoyan suddenly felt the devouring force increase. Even the divine elephant overpowering force could not resist it, and his body was sucked toward the heaven-devouring demonic jar uncontrollably. Ha ha ha! As long as you're sucked into the heaven-devouring demonic jar, you'll be instantly refined and turned into a pool of blood essence. Idiot, come in! Jun Haoyan kept using the abstruse and mysterious hand seals, and the devouring force of the heaven-devouring demonic jar grew stronger. In the next moment, Jun Haoyan lost control of his body and flew toward the heaven-devouring demonic jar. Then, he was sucked into the heaven-devouring demonic jar. After Jun Haoyan entered the heaven-devouring demonic vase, Jun Haoyan smirked and sealed the mouth of the vase with several primary seals. With a thought, the heaven-devouring demonic pot shrunk to the size of a human head and fell into Jun Haoyan's hand. Looking at the heaven-devouring demonic pot in his hand, Jun Haoyan said coldly, "How dare you compete with the light of the sun and the moon?" The heaven-swallowing demonic pot contains an endless amount of chaotic power. It will take away all of your essence chi and blood chi. No matter how strong your body is, it will turn into pure blood chi and disappear within an hour. After he finished speaking, Jun Aotian's gaze slowly turned towards Gu Yi, Jian Fengyin and the others. His eyes were filled with boundless killing intent. Feeling this killing intent, Gu Yi and Jian Fengyin's faces immediately turned pale. Now their only hope, brother Haoyan, had been killed. No one could stop Jun Haoyan anymore. Today all of you must die. Jun Haoyan's figure flashed, and he arrived in front of Gu Yi, Jian Fengyin, and Pangbo Great Yin-Yang Demonic Fist. An incomparably huge fist shadow slowly condensed in Jun Haoyan's hand. A terrifying aura tore through space and directly flew towards Gu Yi and the other two. Gu Yi and the other two, who had long been seriously injured and exhausted of their true essence, had no room to resist in Jun Haoyan's hands. They could only watch as the huge fist shadow attacked them. Boom! In the next moment, the three of them were directly hit by Jun Haoyan's fist. Their bodies instantly flew backwards and accurately fell into the Netherworld Lake. As soon as they came into contact with the Netherworld Lake, Gu Yi and the other two immediately realized in despair that their bodies were sinking involuntarily. A moment later, the three of them sank into the Netherworld Lake. Senior Brother Gu. Senior Brother Jian. Seeing this scene, the spectators of the Nether sect and the Proud Sword Villa all looked at Jun Haoyan in shock and anger. However, although they were furious, no one dared to step forward to avenge Gu Yi and Jian Fengyin. Hee, if you don't want to die then scram. Seeing everyone's expressions, Jun Haoyan revealed a trace of disdain. The surrounding martial warriors had long been intimidated by Jun Outyan's strength. Hearing Jun Outyan's words, they all unwillingly left the netherworld lake. Boom! Right at this moment, the ruins suddenly trembled violently, as if there was a violent earthquake. At the same time, thousands of miles away, an incomparably bright divine light suddenly appeared in the sky. An incomparably huge ancient bronze palace was suspended in the void like an ancient divine palace. The inheritance of the ruins has appeared. Seeing the ancient bronze palace in the sky, Jun Outyan was wild with joy. That place was the key to the exploration of the ruins. In the next moment, Jun Outyan did not hesitate at all. His body turned into a stream of light, and quickly headed towards the ancient bronze palace. The surrounding martial warriors naturally also discovered the existence of the ancient bronze palace, and all headed towards it. Haotian. In the sea of trees, after Jun Outyan left, Nalan Shuer's figure slowly walked out. She looked at Jun Outyan's back with mixed feelings. She did not expect Haotian to die at Jun Outyan's hands like this. I will avenge you, Nalan Shuer muttered to herself, her tone filled with determination. No matter what, Haotian had saved her before, and she was the one who invited him into the ruins. Now, in order to help her deal with Jun Outyan, he had died at Jun Outyan's hands. After I refine the underworld dark fire, I will transform into a spiritual body. When I enter the Jade Lake Sanctuary, I will definitely receive the best treatment. Nalan Shuer murmured. Then, her figure quickly disappeared into the sea of trees. Now, in this ruin, there was no one who could stop Jun Outyan from obtaining the inheritance of the ruins. It was useless for her to go there. Not bad. While everyone is heading to the ruins, I will find a safe place to refine the underworld dark fire as soon as possible. Inside the heaven-devouring demonic vase, it was a world of bloody purgatory and black and white brilliance. Not only was it filled with endless yin and yang energy, but it was also filled with a strong smell of blood. This is the inside of the heaven-devouring demonic vase? Inside the demonic vase, Jun Haotian frowned as he looked at everything inside. Through the strong smell of blood, Jun Haotian was almost certain that Jun Haotian had used the heaven-devouring demonic vase to devour many living beings. Inside it was filled with various kinds of chaotic qi. There was demonic qi, and poisonous qi. These chaotic qi seemed to be operated by some rules, and cleverly formed a mysterious origin formation of Tao Xian. Standing inside the heaven-devouring demonic vase, Jun Haotian felt that he could not mobilize the true yuan, qi, and blood in his body. Traces of black and white brilliance, and the rich yin and yang energy swam around his body. It slowly refined his true yuan, and robbed his blood qi. Do you think you can refine me like this? Seeing this scene, Jun Haotian snorted coldly. Suddenly, wisps of golden flames ignited around his body. It was the Gold Emperor's sky-incinerating flame. As soon as the Gold Emperor's sky-incinerating flame appeared, it surrounded Jun Haotian's chaotic qi. The demonic qi, and poisonous qi were all burned and refined by the Gold Emperor's sky-incinerating flame. Then, they turned into violent energy and slowly entered Jun Haotian's body. Chapter 57. The Gold Emperor's heaven-incinerating flame is a strange flame of heaven and earth. It can refine all kinds of violent energy in heaven and earth. Jun Haotian felt the violent energy surging in his body, and a bold idea came to his mind. The strength of the hell-crushing god Mammoth is a supreme divine art created by the Supreme Sovereign. It is said to be able to suppress the demons of hell, no matter how violent the energy is. Thinking of this, Jun Haotian's heart burned with passion. Ordinary people would never dare to absorb the chaotic energy in the heaven-devouring demonic jar. Ordinary people would not be able to control this chaotic energy. If they forcefully absorbed it, they would most likely explode and die. But Jun Haotian was different. He had the strength of the hell-crushing god Mammoth. The boundless suppression power of the strength of the hell-crushing god Mammoth was enough to suppress all kinds of chaotic energy. And Jun Haotian would use the Gold Emperor's heaven-incinerating flame to refine the energy and convert it into his own power. It was perfect. Feeling the chaotic energy in the heaven-devouring demonic jar, Jun Haoyan was excited. The heaven-devouring demonic jar had existed for countless years, and the chaotic energy it had devoured was extremely dense. It was even denser than some secret realms. Originally, he had thought that he would fail this time, but unexpectedly, he had picked up a treasure. As long as he absorbed the chaotic energy here, his strength would increase by several times. Thinking of this, Jun Haoyan's heart burned with passion. He immediately sat down cross-legged and began to circulate the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth. As Jun Haoyan quickly circulated the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth, the figure of an ancient mammoth slowly condensed behind him. At the same time, the Gold Emperor's heaven-incinerating flame on Jun Haoyan's body burned even brighter. In the next moment, the chaotic energy in the heaven-devouring demonic jar rushed madly towards Jun Haoyan. As it passed through the Gold Emperor's heaven-incinerating flame, it was refined into pure energy and slowly flowed into Jun Haoyan's body. Moments later, the countless particles in Jun Haoyan's body suddenly emitted waves of divine light. Then a mammoth seed quickly formed. 1, 2, 3, 10. With the support of endless energy, Jun Haoyan quickly condensed the giant elephant seeds. In the blink of an eye, he condensed 10 giant elephant seeds. Jun Haoyan felt that the power in his body had suddenly increased by several times. At the same time, an extremely terrifying pressure swept out at this moment. Jun Haoyan slowly opened his eyes, and a bright light flickered. In just a short period of time, he had reached the limit of the third level of True Essence, peak of the third stage of True Essence realm. Today was the day he would break through to the fourth level of the True Origin stage. At this moment, Jun Haoyan was ecstatic. The heaven-devouring demonic urn was indeed a treasure trove. There was simply too much chaotic energy contained within. It just so happened that he needed a huge source of energy to condense the giant elephant seed. If it was in the outside world, it would be impossible to condense so many giant elephant seeds at once, and there would not be so much energy for him to absorb. Jun Haoyan, I have to thank you for providing me with such a treasure trove. Jun Haoyan's lips curled into a smile. Even if Jun Haoyan sucked him into the heaven-devouring demonic urn, it would be impolite for him to refuse the chaotic energy here. Then, Jun Haoyan closed his eyes again and channeled the rich true essence in his body to break through the bottleneck of the fourth level of the True Origin stage. After reaching the true element boundary, it was extremely difficult to increase one's cultivation level. Of course, the difference in strength between each level was like heaven and earth. For every level of cultivation, one's strength would increase by 10 times or more. Therefore, only a few proud sons of heaven could rely on profound cultivation methods, martial techniques, and weapons to be able to fight above their level. After cultivating with the Gold Emperor's heaven-incinerating flame, Jun Haoyan's body was now a spiritual body. On top of that, Jun Haoyan cultivated the divine elephant overpowering force, so his foundation was extremely strong. Therefore, every time Jun Haoyan's strength increased, even if it was just a small step, he would need a large amount of energy. Of course, with effort came rewards. Jun Haoyan had a hard time increasing his cultivation level. However, once he broke through, he would be 10 times stronger than others. The divine elephant overpowering force was circulating madly, and the chaotic energy in the heaven-devouring demonic urn surged towards Jun Haoyan's body. Jun Haoyan felt that the pores on his body were constantly inhaling and exhaling the vital energy of heaven and earth. After an unknown period of time, Jun Haoyan lost count of how many times he had tried to break through the bottleneck of the fourth level of the True Origin stage. Finally, Jun Haoyan managed to break a crack in the bottleneck. It was like an ancient door was slowly opening. At the same time, an extremely terrifying aura surged within Jun Haoyan's body, causing the surrounding void to tremble. This was the power of the fourth level of the True Origin stage. In the next moment, Jun Haoyan suddenly opened his eyes, and a divine light shot out from them. Jun Haoyan stood up, and his body suddenly emitted a dazzling brilliance. Feeling the surge of power in his body, Jun Haoyan's voice carried a hint of excitement. This is the power of the fourth level of the True Origin stage. He was dressed in white, and his black hair danced in the wind, Perhaps it was because he cultivated the divine elephant overpowering force. At this moment, Jun Haoyan carried a hint of a domineering aura. Jun Haoyan, let's see what other tricks you have after I suck you dry. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Jun Haoyan circulated the divine elephant overpowering force again, and continued to absorb the chaotic energy in the heaven-devouring demonic urn. He wanted to break through again in one go. After that, the giant elephant seeds in Jun Haoyan's body continued to form. 1 seed, 2 seeds, 3 seeds, 10 seeds. After a while, another 10 giant elephant seeds formed. At this moment, there were more than 20 giant elephant seeds in Jun Haoyan's body. One punch had the force of a few million pounds. Moreover, this was not Jun Haoyan's limit. With his spirit body and the divine elephant overpowering force, Jun Haoyan's foundation was incomparably strong. 10 giant elephant seeds were not enough to satisfy him. After breaking through to the 4th level of the true origin stage, he estimated that if he wanted to break through to the 5th level of the true origin stage, he would need at least 100 giant elephant seeds. That was a force of a few million pounds, which was terrifying. One had to know that an ordinary martial artist of the 4th level of the true origin stage only had a force of a few million pounds. Moreover, when Jun Haoyan used the divine elephant overpowering force and the heaven-devouring demonic god technique, his strength would only increase. Feeling the huge changes in his body, Jun Haoyan smiled with satisfaction. The endless chaotic energy in the heaven-devouring demonic urn should be able to help him form 100 giant elephant seeds. However, he did not know if the heaven-devouring demonic urn would still be as powerful as it was now after he absorbed all the chaotic energy. Would it return to its original state, where it could only absorb Jun Haoyan's energy to survive? Would Jun Haoyan be unable to cultivate again? That would be very interesting. Jun Haoyan did not think too much about it. He sat down cross-legged and continued to cultivate the divine elephant overpowering force. Apart from the holy lands and secret realms, he would not be able to find another place as suitable for cultivating the divine elephant overpowering force. He had to cherish this opportunity. Chapter 58. In the outside world. Inside the primordial ruin. At the center of the primordial ruin, an ancient bronze hall that was several thousand feet tall slowly hovered in the air. Around the ancient bronze hall, countless dilapidated walls floated. From time to time, a mysterious Tao Xian divine light would shoot out from the ancient bronze hall. However, upon closer inspection, one would be able to see a faint devil chi surrounding the ancient bronze hall. This primordial ruin was located in the center of the Devil Sea. It was constantly corroded by devil chi. The primal formation in the primordial ruin had long been destroyed. This was why the primordial ruin had suddenly opened. Otherwise, these young true energy realm martial artists would not have been able to enter the primordial ruin. At this moment, thousands of people had gathered in front of the ancient bronze hall. Almost all of them were true energy realm martial artists. Whether it was the Nether Sect's disciples, the Proudsword Villa's disciples, or the other sectless cultivators, almost all of them were here. Everyone's eyes were filled with greed as they looked at the ancient bronze hall hovering in the air. This ancient bronze hall is the center of this primordial ruin. It's highly possible that there's the immortal realm expert's inheritance in there. I've received secret information that this primordial ruin might have something to do with the ancient golden-winged great rock. The golden-winged great rock is comparable to a holy land. If we can obtain its inheritance, our future will be limitless. The Nether Sect's disciples and the Proudsword Villa's disciples stared at the ancient bronze hall as they discussed excitedly. Although the ancient bronze hall was right in front of them, they did not dare to enter. There were more than 10 corpses lying below the ancient bronze hall. These corpses were all torn and tattered. They looked extremely bloody. As it turned out, there was an unknown abstruse and mysterious formation around the ancient bronze hall. Moreover, this formation was a killing formation. Anyone who entered this formation would be killed by it. Haha. A bunch of rats dares to covet the primordial ruin? What a joke. At this moment, a thunderous voice rang out in the void. At the same time, An extremely powerful aura swept across the entire area. Upon hearing this voice, everyone turned to look at the source of the voice. They saw Jun Outyin dressed in purple robes walking in the air. He was extremely domineering primordial ruin. The invisible aura emanating from his body grew stronger and stronger. In the previous battles with Jun Outyin, Gu Yi and the others, he had clearly benefited a lot, and his cultivation had also increased. At this moment he stood in the air, his aura soaring to the heavens. His 5th level true energy realm cultivation was fully released at this moment, causing all the martial artists present to feel an incomparable pressure. Hurry up and scram. Whoever touches the ruins today will die. Looking at the thousands of martial artists around him, Jun Outyin did not show the slightest hint of fear. Jun Outyin, don't you dare cross the line. Even if you are strong, you can't fight against thousands of us. The Nether Sect's disciples and the Proud Sword Villa's disciples roared in unwillingness. Hee, a bunch of ignorant people. No matter how many ants there are, how can you regret the heavens? Hearing this, Jun Outyin's face was still full of arrogance. He did not take these people seriously at all. If they angered him, he would not hesitate to use the heaven-devouring devil pot to devour all of them. That way, his heaven-devouring devil pot might be upgraded again. At the thought of this, Jun Outyin looked at these martial artists with a strange gleam in his eyes. Sensing Jun Outyin's unfriendly gaze, the surrounding martial artists were furious, but did not dare to say anything. Even the Nether Sect's disciples and the Proud Sword Villa's disciples kept their mouths shut. Boom! At this moment, the ancient bronze palace in front of them suddenly shook, and a series of roars resounded in the sky. For a moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on the ancient bronze palace. A few cracks suddenly appeared in the void around the ancient bronze palace, and there was dense demonic chi rolling in the middle. This is demonic chi. Seeing the demonic chi around the ancient bronze palace, the group of martial artists exclaimed in shock. Why would there be demonic chi here? This grand killing formation must have been corroded by the demonic chi, and it has already been damaged. Another sect's disciple who had some understanding of primal formations said, if there is a problem with the grand killing formation, doesn't that mean we can enter the ruins now? This is our chance. Hearing this, some of the rogue martial artists could not resist the temptation and immediately rushed toward the ancient bronze palace. You are courting death. Seeing this, Jun Outyin's face turned cold immediately. In the next moment, the true origin in his body surged, and a huge fist print was formed. It directly blasted toward the martial artists who were rushing toward the ruins. Great Yin Yang demonic fist. Boom! The huge fist print tore through the void. Everywhere it passed, all the martial artists were torn apart and died. Jun Outyin, you have crossed the line. Some of the martial artists shouted, full of resentment. After killing so many people, Jun Outyin's expression did not change as he said coldly, I've said it before. Only death awaits you if you want the ruins. If you have the guts, follow me. I'll kill every one of you I see. Jun Outyin looked at the martial artists around him with disdain. Then he did not care about their gazes. The black and white wings appeared on his back, and his body turned into a stream of light and shot toward the ancient bronze palace. At the same time, rays of intense golden light slowly rose from the ancient bronze palace and shot up into the sky. Charge! The inheritance of the ruins is mine. Seeing that Jun Outyin had directly entered the ancient bronze palace, the rest of the martial artists were in a frenzy. They charged toward the ancient bronze palace fearlessly, determined to fight for the inheritance of the ruins. At the same time, in a dark cave in the north of the ruins, Nalan Shui sat cross-legged in the cave, and a blue flame slowly floated in front of her. It looked very strange. At this moment, the temperature in the cave was extremely low, and there was even a trace of ice fog emerging. Nalan Shui's eyebrows were covered with a layer of frost as she carefully refined the netherworld occult flame. Her beautiful face looked a little tired. The netherworld occult flame is indeed a rare flame. It is really difficult to refine. Nalan Shui slowly opened her eyes and said helplessly. At this moment, a ray of golden light suddenly reflected in the cave. The sudden appearance of the golden light was naturally very eye-catching in the dark cave. It seems that Jun Outyin has entered the ruins. Looking at the ray of golden light, Nalan Shue's expression turned solemn. The ending seemed to be the same as in her previous life. In the end, Jun Outyin had obtained the inheritance of the golden-winged rock, and his strength would improve by leaps and bounds in the future. Thinking about how the Great Yin Empire had been destroyed by Jun Outyin in her previous life, Nalan Shue's face turned extremely ugly. Jun Outyin was a vengeful person. If she could not surpass Jun Outyin in this life, the Great Yin Empire would eventually be destroyed. At this thought, Nalan Shue's face flashed with determination. Then, the blue flame in the cave lit up again, and Nalan Shue immersed herself in refining the netherworld occult flame. Chapter 59. Inside the Ancient Bronze Palace. The Ancient Bronze Palace had a long history. Even after countless years and being eroded by demonic qi, the killing formation inside the Ancient Bronze Palace was still working. This killing formation seemed to be a sword Dao killing formation. At this moment, there were streaks of extremely sharp sword qi shooting out from the Ancient Bronze Palace. The sword will on the sword qi seemed to be able to tear everything apart. Even an ordinary true energy realm martial artist would not be able to withstand such sword qi. If they were not careful, they would be killed. Even the powerful Jun Outyin did not dare to underestimate it. He summoned the heaven-devouring demon pot and activated it with his true energy to block in front of him. Every time a sword light came, the heaven-devouring demon pot would automatically protect its owner and send out a black and white light to block the sword light. Just like that, Jun Outyin quickly moved forward in the Ancient Bronze Palace. Why does it feel like the heaven-devouring demon pot has weakened? Looking at the black and white light emitted by the heaven-devouring demon pot, Jun Outyin felt that something was wrong. He felt that the heaven-devouring demon pot's power had weakened. After thinking for a while, Jun Outyin came to this conclusion. Could it be that the Ancient Bronze Palace has the power to suppress treasures? Other than that, he could not think of any other reason. He had had the heaven-devouring demon pot for quite some time, and knew that it had an extraordinary origin. Normally, there would not be any problems. However, Jun Outyin did not expect that. Inside the heaven-devouring demon pot, Jun Outyin was madly using the Divine Elephant overpowering Divine Elephant and the Golden Emperor incinerating Heaven's flame to devour the chaotic energy. The heaven-devouring demon pot was so powerful because of the chaotic energy. If Jun Outyin devoured all of the energy, the heaven-devouring demon pot's quality would drop again. Worse still, it would be damaged. Unfortunately, Jun Outyin's attention was all on the Ancient Bronze Palace. He was busy dealing with the killing formation inside, and did not pay attention to the changes in the heaven-devouring demon pot. Just like that, Jun Outyin kept moving forward with the heaven-devouring demon pot. After an unknown period of time, Jun Outyin finally left the killing formation's range. It was obvious that Jun Outyin had suffered a lot during this process. He looked very miserable, but no matter what, he still made it in. Furthermore, he was the first person to pass through the Great Killing Formation. Jun Outyin looked at the slaughtering array and saw that countless martial artists were still struggling to move. There were even more dead and injured. He couldn't help but smile disdainfully. A bunch of ants trying in vain to obtain the inheritance of the relic. Jun Outyin snorted and turned around to walk into the palace. Looking at the palace gate in front of him, Jun Outyin was getting more and more excited. As he stood there, he could clearly feel a mysterious power calling out to him. This feeling grew stronger the closer he got to the ancient palace. There must be a great opportunity in the ancient bronze palace that belonged to him. In the next moment, Jun Outyin's figure flashed as he dashed toward the entrance of the ancient palace. Boom! As soon as he entered the ancient bronze palace, an extremely dense yin and yang energy swept over and filled his entire body. The power of yin and yang in the palace was so dense that it was almost liquefied. Jun Outyin was extremely excited when he sensed the yin and yang energy in the palace. Could this relic really be left behind by the ancient ferocious golden-winged rock? Thinking about the information that he had received over the past few days, Jun Outyin couldn't help but make some guesses. Rumor has it that the ancient ferocious golden-winged roc is the descendant of the phoenix. The moment it was born, it mastered the law of yin and yang. Its yin and yang superpower is unparalleled in the world. The yin and yang energy in the palace forced Jun Outyin to make contact with that person. Such a dense yin and yang energy is enough to upgrade my devouring demon jar again. The devouring demon jar could devour all kinds of energy to evolve. As long as Jun Outyin absorbed all the yin and yang energy in the palace, he might be able to upgrade the devouring demon jar to an upper treasure, or even a supreme treasure. If there was a chance in the future, it could even be upgraded to a legendary magic weapon. Thinking of this, Jun Outyin was excited. He immediately took out the devouring demon jar and started to absorb the yin and yang energy in the palace. At the same time, inside the devouring demon jar. At that moment, Jun Outyin had stopped absorbing the chaotic energy. He had already absorbed 2/3 of the chaotic energy in the devouring demon jar. If he continued to absorb the chaotic energy, the devouring demon jar's grade might drop. Such a commotion would definitely alert Jun Outyin. If Jun Outyin found out that he was absorbing the energy of the devouring demon jar, he would explode the devouring demon jar with a secret skill. Then he would be dead. After absorbing so much energy, Jun Outyin's strength had increased tremendously. At that moment, there were more than 30 giant elephant seeds in his body. It seems like it's time to get out. Since he could no longer absorb the chaotic energy, there was no point in staying. Jun Outyin decided to leave. The devouring demon jar had lost 2/3 of its energy and could no longer trap Jun Outyin. As long as Jun Outyin wanted to leave, he could break out of the jar at any time. Boom! Just as Jun Outyin was about to leave, a majestic yin and yang energy surged into the devouring demon jar. It was like the Milky Way pouring down from the 9 heavens. What's going on? Feeling the yin and yang energy, Jun Outyin thought that Jun Outyin had discovered him and wanted to deal with him. Immediately he became nervous. However, in the next moment, Jun Outyin realized that the yin and yang energy was pure yin and yang energy. It did not form any true yuan attack. Only then did he relax. Where did Jun Outyin get so much yin and yang energy? Did he come across some kind of great opportunity? Jun Outyin guessed as he looked at the yin and yang energy pouring down. He is indeed the son of fortune. He is so lucky. Opportunities can be found everywhere. Jun Outyin said. Suddenly he paused and said slowly, "So what if he is lucky? He is still a worker." Looking at the yin and yang energy in the devouring demon jar, Jun Outyin smiled slyly. This Jun Outyin is really a good person. I just needed the energy to continue to condense the giant elephant seeds, and he sent them to me. A good person. Jun Aotion would never have thought that I'm still alive and well. In the face of such a free lunch, Jun Outyin would not be polite to Jun Outyin. In the next moment, he sat down cross-legged on the ground and used the strength of the hell-crushing god Mammoth and the Golden Emperor incinerating heavenly flame to absorb the yin and yang energy. Unfortunately, Jun Outyin, who was immersed in absorbing the yin and yang energy in the hall, was oblivious to all this. If he were to know that the yin and yang energy that he had obtained after going through a near-death experience was actually absorbed by Jun Outyin so easily, he would probably vomit blood from anger. Chapter 60. Under Jun Outyin's frenzied absorption, large amounts of pure yin and yang energy were absorbed into Jun Outyin's body, merging into his limbs, bones, and flesh. Strands of yin and yang energy surged within his body, and Jun Outyin felt as if his body had become somewhat mystical. The boundless yin and yang energy was like raindrops, constantly nourishing the countless particles within his body. Moments later, with the support of the endless yin and yang energy, Jun Outyin's divine elephant overpowering force made another breakthrough. 1 seed, 2 seeds, 3 seeds, 10 seeds, 20 seeds, 30 seeds, 40 seeds. After an unknown period of time, Jun Outyin actually managed to form 40 more giant elephant seeds. At this point, the number of giant elephant seeds within his body had reached a terrifying number of 70. On Jun Outyin's body, The Gold Emperor's heaven-incinerating flame burned madly, refining the yin and yang energy that was surging into the heaven-devouring demonic pot. Each giant elephant seed could be regarded as a dantian of Jun Haotian's. With each giant elephant seed awakened, Jun Haotian was equivalent to having an extra dantian. As more giant elephant seeds were formed, Jun Haotian's cultivation speed increased, and the speed at which he refined the yin and yang energy also increased. At this point, Jun Haotian was like a giant black hole, sucking in all the energy around him. He never dreamed that he would one day be able to form so many giant elephant seeds, and at such a fast speed. Thinking of this, Jun Haotian couldn't help but feel grateful towards Jun Haotian. Many thanks to Jun Haotian for shining, burning himself and warming others. Good man. Just like that, Jun Haotian absorbed the yin and yang energy from the outside world, while Jun Haotian absorbed the yin and yang energy from the heaven-devouring demonic pot. The two of them worked together, bringing out the best in each other. Very quickly a few days passed. In the Bronze Hall, Jun Haotian continued to absorb the yin and yang energy as he moved deeper into the Bronze Hall. At this moment, Jun Haotian looked very dispirited, and his purple robe was in tatters. It turned out that on the second day Jun Haotian entered the ancient Bronze Hall, he encountered demons. Seeing these demons reminded Jun Haotian of the demonic aura that surrounded the ancient Bronze Hall. He immediately guessed that the sudden opening of the primordial ruins must have something to do with these demons. Since ancient times, humans and demons were enemies. Jun Haotian naturally, he killed them on sight. However, the deeper he went deeper into the ancient Bronze Hall, the stronger the demons he encountered. If it weren't for the fact that Jun Haotian had all kinds of powerful divine skills, martial skills and origin artifacts, he wouldn't have been able to go deeper into the ancient Bronze Palace. What a thick smell of blood. The yin and yang energy. Jun Haotian didn't know how long he had been walking toward the ancient Bronze Hall. Suddenly he frowned. He could sense it was a demon blood the sky. After hesitating for a moment, he had decided to take the risk. After paying such a high price to come here, he would never give up. With blood chi, blood of blood. This. After a while, Jun Haotian came to the side of a blood pool. The baleful blood chi that he had sensed earlier all came from this blood pool. Jun Haotian looked at the blood pool in front of him and was shocked. This pool of blood exuded an extremely terrifying power of chi and blood. Jun Haotian felt like he was facing an archean ferocious beast as he stood beside the blood pool. Screech! At this moment, the blood pool suddenly churned like a surging sea of blood. The phantom of a giant bird suddenly appeared above the blood pool and roared in the main hall. This is Golden-Winged Rock. Looking at the shadow, Jun Haotian was shocked. This blood pool is formed by the blood essence of the Golden-Winged Rock. Looking at the churning blood pool, Jun Haotian couldn't help but tremble in excitement. He didn't expect the blood essence of the Golden-Winged Rock to exist in the ancient Bronze Hall. The Golden-Winged Rock was an archean ferocious beast. It even dared to devour the archean dragon tribe. The Golden-Winged Rock was a direct descendant of the phoenix. Its bloodline was extremely noble, and it was extremely powerful from birth. The blood essence left behind by the Golden-Winged Rock was an extremely powerful divine blood elixir for human martial artists. If one could use the blood essence of the Golden-Winged Rock to refine his body, his physical body would be refined to the extreme. His blood chi would be extremely powerful. When he fought with others, his combat strength would increase tremendously with the support of the rich blood chi. More importantly, if one used the blood essence of an archean demonic beast, like the Golden-Winged Rock, to refine one's body, it would greatly improve the martial artist's cultivation talent. As long as one used the blood essence of the Golden-Winged Rock to refine one's body, he would definitely be one of the top figures in the continent. Ha. As long as I absorb the blood essence of the Golden-Winged Rock, my talent will increase to another level. Then, it will be just a matter of time before I become a true disciple. Jun Haotian said arrogantly as he stared at the blood pool with a burning gaze. There wasn't much blood essence of a ferocious beast like the Golden-Winged Rock in the entire martial god continent. But today, He had obtained an entire pool of blood essence of the golden winged rock. Jun Outyin couldn't help but be excited. But soon Jun Outyin calmed down. There might be origin formations and restrictions everywhere in the Bronze Hall. There might even be demons coming in and out. For safety reasons, Jun Outyin thought about it and decided not to refine the blood essence of the golden winged rock here. Moreover, judging from the scene just now, there seemed to be a ferocious beast remnant soul in the blood essence of the ferocious beast. If he used the blood essence to refine it, he might be disturbed by the ferocious beast remnant soul. He would have to waste a lot of time dealing with the ferocious beast remnant soul. I'll keep the blood essence of the golden winged rock first. I'll refine my body after I get out of the ruins. Jun Outyin thought about it and summoned the heaven-devouring demonic pot again. The heaven-devouring demonic pot was extremely strange. It could kill people, refine their blood chi essence, and store items. Jun Outyin poured his true origin force into the pot, and the heaven-devouring demonic pot instantly enlarged. Then a strong devouring power gushed out from the heaven-devouring demonic pot. Under the devouring power, the blood in the blood pool immediately rushed toward the heaven-devouring demonic pot. Seeing this, Jun Outyin's expression was a little crazy. He was extremely excited. However, Jun Outyin, who was immersed in absorbing the blood essence of the golden winged rock, did not realize that most of the yin and yang energy in the heaven-devouring demonic pot had been lost. Now he had obtained an endless amount of yin and yang energy and the blood essence of the golden winged rock. If he could absorb all of these things, his future would be limitless. He seemed to have seen himself standing at the top of the world and looking down on all living things. But what he didn't expect was that Jun Outyin was still alive. Chapter 61. Inside the heaven-devouring demonic urn, Jun Outyin had already refined most of the yin and yang force in the urn. The number of giant elephant seeds in his body had reached a terrifying number of over 80. Now he could easily unleash a force of 8 to 9 million pounds. It was extremely terrifying. Almost there. Looking at the remaining yin and yang force in the heaven-devouring demonic urn, Jun Outyin nodded his head in satisfaction. At the same time, he felt a little strange. The yin and yang force had almost been completely absorbed by him. How could Jun Outyin not notice it at all? Could it be that he had another fortuitous encounter? Just as he was thinking about it, an extremely dense blood aura suddenly surged into the heaven-devouring demonic urn. Feeling the blood aura, Jun OutYin's expression suddenly tensed up. He stared in the direction of the blood aura. In the next moment, an endless sea of blood poured into the urn from the urn and into the urn. This is the blood essence of a beast. Soon Jun Outyin was extremely surprised. Looking at the blood rain, Jun Outyin could feel it. He immediately guessed that the blood of a beast was extremely extraordinary. Roar! At that moment, the shadow of a giant bird flashed across the sea of blood. Then there was a roar. This is the blood essence of the golden winged rock. Looking at the shadow of the giant bird, Jun OutYin's expression instantly became extremely shocked. In the sea of blood, there was a trace of the remnant soul of the golden winged rock. It was this remnant soul that allowed Jun Outyin to know the origin of the sea of blood. Who was the golden winged rock? It was an ancient beast, the descendant of the phoenix. Its power was unparalleled. And now, the sea of blood was formed by the blood essence of the golden winged rock. Jun Outyin stared blankly at the scene in front of him. He still could not believe it. Then, Jun Outyin remembered that this was the space of Jun Outyin's precious artifact. He suddenly understood. Jun Outyin was the son of fate. These were just opportunities that the author had arranged for him. The yin and yang force and the blood essence of the golden winged rock. He was indeed the son of the author. However, it was a pity that he met a cheat like himself. In the end, these benefits would still benefit him. Just like before, Jun Outyin naturally wouldn't be polite to the golden winged rock's blood essence. He leaped into the blood sea. At the same time, he drew on the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth to absorb the quintessence blood of the golden winged rocks. In the next moment, the golden winged rock's blood essence gushed into Jun OutYin's body. As the golden winged rock's blood essence entered his body, Jun Outyin immediately felt his blood boiling and burning. Wherever the golden-winged great rock's blood essence passed, his flesh and blood underwent a huge transformation. Jun Haoyan's body turned extremely red. Waves of extremely powerful qi and blood energy constantly swam around his body. It was abnormally terrifying. Roar! At this moment, a golden-winged rock suddenly burrowed into Jun Haoyan's mind, attempting to shatter Jun Haoyan's soul and prevent him from refining his blood essence. The golden-winged rock was an ancient ferocious beast, a descendant of the phoenix. Its bloodline was incomparably noble. How could the blood it left behind be casually refined by others? A mere remnant soul dares to be so arrogant. Seeing the golden-winged rock's shadow, Jun Haoyan's face showed no fear at all. Instead, he revealed a cold smile. In the next moment, he pushed the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth to the extreme. Roar! An ancient and vicissitude of the primordial mammoth suddenly appeared behind Jun Haoyan. Screech! However, facing in primordial mammoth, the remnant soul of the golden-winged rock seemed to be fearless. A monstrous ferocious aura surged from its body and swept towards Jun Haoyan's soul. Even the primordial mammoth's shadow was faintly suppressed by it. In terms of origin, the golden-winged rock's bloodline was no weaker than the primordial mammoth's. Since I can't fight you one-on-one, I'll gang up on you. Jun Haoyan sneered. In the next moment, his face turned red as he madly circulated the true yuan in his body. All of you come out! With a violent roar, more than 80 mammoth seeds in Jun Haoyan's body erupted, emitting rays of divine light. In the next moment, numerous primordial mammoth shadows suddenly appeared behind Jun Haoyan. These primordial mammoths had galaxies on their backs and their feet on them. Their auras were incomparably terrifying. At this moment, more than 80 primordial mammoth shadows and the remnant soul of the golden-winged rock were confronting each other, roaring and fighting. Against more than 80 primordial mammoth shadows, the remnant soul of the golden-winged rock was naturally outnumbered. After a moment, the remnant soul of the golden-winged rock let out a sorrowful cry and disappeared into the heaven-devouring demonic pot. Meanwhile, Jun Haoyan's mind was already immersed in refining the blood essence of the golden-winged rock. He sat cross-legged in the sea of blood and absorbed the blood essence madly, fusing it into his body. Slowly, Jun Haoyan's blood continued to transform, faintly emitting the aura of a ferocious beast. The ferocious aura of the golden-winged rock. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before Jun Haoyan's entire bloodline underwent a metamorphosis. By then, Jun Haoyan would be equivalent to a ferocious beast in human form. As Jun Haoyan absorbed the blood essence madly, Jun Haoyan, who was outside, seemed to sense it. He looked at the heaven-devouring demonic pot in his hand, puzzled. He felt that its aura was somewhat unstable. Could it be because of the golden-winged rock's blood essence? Jun Haoyan suddenly had such a thought. He praised. As expected of the golden-winged rock's blood essence, even a precious weapon can't withstand its aura. After absorbing all the blood essence in the heaven-devouring demonic pot, Jun Haoyan headed toward the ancient bronze hall again. This is the deepest part of the ancient hall? Soon Jun Haoyan arrived at the end of the ancient bronze hall. At this moment, there was a huge hall in front of him. Pure black and white light flickered in the hall. It was abstruse and mysterious. What a pure yin-yang energy. Feeling the yin-yang energy gushing out from the hall, Jun Haoyan looked toward the entrance of the hall excitedly. That might be the place where the legacy was. Thinking of this, Jun Haoyan dashed toward the hall in a flash. Roar! As soon as he entered the hall, a black figure dashed toward Jun Haoyan. Demon? Feeling the demonic aura coming from the black figure, Jun Haoyan's face turned cold. He immediately threw out a great yin-yang demonic punch. The demon was only at true energy realm LV2. Naturally, he was no match for Jun Haoyan. He was killed by Jun Haoyan's punch. After killing the demon, Jun Haoyan continued to move forward. However, after a few steps, another black figure dashed toward him. Just like that, Jun Haoyan moved forward carefully in the hall and killed all the demon that came to attack him. Fortunately, the demon's level was too low. They only knew how to kill and had no intelligence. Otherwise, Jun Haoyan would doubt whether the legacy was still there. There were also many killing formations in the hall. Even Jun Outyin had almost fallen into one of them. Fortunately, Jun Outyin was the son of fortune. With his unparalleled luck, he finally reached the deepest part of the hall. At this moment, he was the first one to enter the primordial ruins. Chapter 62. Jun Outyin had basically obtained all the best items in the primordial ruins, left behind by the golden-winged rock. Master was right. The east is where my opportunity lies. Jun Outyin was extremely excited. He was already at the end of the hall. There was only one primordial formation left in front of him. As long as he could break the primordial formation, he would be able to obtain the legacy of the ruins. The legacy of the golden-winged rock. As long as he could obtain it, he would definitely become one of the strongest in the mainland in the future. Thinking of this, Jun Outyin took a step forward and entered the range of the Yuan formation. It was just a step, but the scene before Jun Outyin changed drastically. In an instant, tens of thousands of beams of light shot out. At the same time, an extremely terrifying pressure swept towards Jun Outyin. In front of him, there was a killing sword that was formed by the yin and yang forces that was shooting towards him. The sharp sword essence that was emitting from it made Jun Outyin's hair stand on end. He instinctively summoned a defensive primordial weapon to block in front of him. He knew that this was the last stage to obtain the legacy of the ruins. Only by passing this stage would he be qualified to obtain the legacy of the ruins. This stage was not going to be easy. It was definitely going to be a tough one. Fortunately, the primordial formation had been eroded by the demonic chi in the demonic sea for many years. Its power had been greatly reduced. Otherwise, with Jun Outyin's current cultivation, he would not be able to pass this primordial formation, even if he was given a weapon. At this moment, Jun Outyin had decided to give it his all. He summoned all the primordial weapons on him, including the devouring demonic face. The primordial weapons that Jun Outyin had summoned were shockingly luxurious. There were a total of 6 primordial weapons, and the devouring demonic face. With such a luxurious background, even an ordinary Yuan Dan expert could not compare to him. He was indeed the son of fate. If it were anyone else, even the pro-disciples of the Green Cloud Sacred Ground, they might not be as wealthy as Jun Outyin. In the face of the last primordial formation, Jun Outyin had taken out all his assets. Jun Outyin did not care. He believed that as long as he could obtain the legacy of the golden-winged rock, everything would be worth it. No matter how many primordial weapons he had, could they compare to the rich yin and yang forces? Could they compare to the blood essence of the golden-winged rock? As long as he heard of this primordial formation, all the treasures in the ruins would be his, including the most precious inheritance of the golden-winged rock. Jun Outyin stood in the middle of the array and looked around, trying to find a flaw in the array. At this moment, he was holding a compass-like Yuan artifact in his hand. This origin artifact was called the Star Compass. It was given to Jun Outyin by his master, and was specifically used to break formations. Jun Outyin slowly poured his Zhen Yuan into the Star Compass, and in the next moment, the Star Compass emitted numerous Zhen Yuan seals. Under Jun Outyin's control, the origin seals surged into the array. It works. After a while, Jun Outyin said excitedly as he felt that the array had become much weaker. Although the speed of breaking the array was very slow, Jun Outyin was very satisfied. At this rate, the formation would be broken in 3 days. After 3 days, the inheritance inside would be his. At the same time, in the heaven-swallowing demon jar, Jun Outyin sat cross-legged in the blood sea. Streaks of blood chi of the golden-winged rock flickered on his body. At this moment, Jun Outyin was exuding a murderous aura. He was like a ferocious beast in human form. The blood essence of the golden-winged rock that Jun Outyin had absorbed had completely merged with the blood in his body, providing him with an endless source of energy. At the same time, the mammoth seeds were continuously awakening, causing Jun Outyin's cultivation to skyrocket. Middle level 4 True Energy Realm. Peak level 4 True Energy Realm. Level 5 True Energy Realm. Peak level 5 True Energy Realm. Level 6 True Energy Realm. After absorbing such a huge amount of energy, Jun Outyin's cultivation had skyrocketed to level 6 True Energy Realm. In addition, The number of mammoth seeds in his body had also skyrocketed. It had reached a terrifying 150 mammoth seeds. At this moment, with a casual wave of his hand, he had a force of 15 million pounds. It was as if a god had descended. With such terrifying strength, Jun Haoyan believed that he could kill Jun Haoyan with one slap if they fought again. After an unknown period of time, Jun Haoyan had finally merged all the blood essence of the golden-winged rock into his own blood. The power contained in the blood essence of the golden-winged rock was too great. It was impossible to refine it in a short period of time. Therefore, Jun Haoyan used this method to merge it into his blood, so that he could use it when he needed it in the future. If the remaining blood essence of the golden-winged rock was completely refined, it would be enough for Jun Haoyan to reach the peak of the true energy realm, or even the Yuan Dan realm. At this moment, there was a huge amount of blood essence of the golden-winged rock flowing in Jun Haoyan's body. Under the refinement of the blood essence of the golden-winged rock, Jun Haoyan's physical body had become extremely terrifying. Even the nature of his physical body had undergone an earth-shattering change. Jun Haoyan's physical body was now infinitely close to a treasure body. Treasure body, that was an extraordinary physical body that was one level higher than a spiritual body. All these changes naturally made Jun Haoyan feel incomparably surprised. Now that he thought about it, ever since Jun Haoyan had put him into the heaven-swallowing demonic pot, he seemed to have been very lucky. The benefits came one after another. In a short period of time, his strength had undergone an earth-shattering change. Although he had finished absorbing the blood essence of the golden-winged rock, Jun Haoyan had no intention of leaving the heaven-swallowing demonic pot at this moment. Since Jun Haoyan had already obtained the blood essence of the golden-winged rock, it meant that Jun Haoyan had already entered the ruins. Moreover, he had already entered the central area of the ruins. Secretly releasing a trace of his divine soul, Jun Haoyan could feel a faint murderous aura in the outside world. Jun Haoyan guessed that Jun Haoyan must be facing some kind of crisis at this moment. If he went out now, he might have to suffer with him. Therefore, there was no need to go out now. It was better to wait for the crisis outside to be resolved by Jun Haoyan, the son of Providence. Then he could go out and enjoy the fruits of his labor. Wouldn't that be great? As for whether Jun Haoyan could survive this crisis, Jun Haoyan had never doubted the ability of Jun Haoyan, the son of Providence. Ding! The check-in time has been refreshed. Would the host like to check in? At this moment, the long-awaited system notification sounded in Jun Haoyan's mind. I can finally check in again. Hearing the sudden system notification, Jun Haoyan's heart skipped a beat. Then he said happily, "Check in." Ding! Congratulations to the host for check-in successfully. You have received the heaven-swallowing demonic skill. Heaven-swallowing demonic skill. Hearing the system notification, Jun Haoyan was shocked. This time, he had actually received the heaven-swallowing demonic skill. This was a peerless divine technique created by Emperor Vicious himself. Chapter 63. Jun Haoyan was completely shocked when he heard the notification in his mind. Demonic Heaven-Devouring Skill. It was the demonic Heaven-Devouring Skill. Vicious had used his mortal body to suppress the geniuses of the era. Any divine body, special constitution, or peerless geniuses would pale in comparison to him. The demonic heaven-devouring skill that he had created played an indelible role in this. The demonic heaven-devouring skill could devour everything in the world. There was nothing that it could not devour, and nothing that it could not transform. With the demonic heaven-devouring skill in hand, his cultivation would improve by leaps and bounds. Ding! Will the host accept the inheritance of the demonic heaven-devouring skill? At this time, the system notification sounded again. Accept, Jun Haoyan said immediately. His tone was very excited. In the next moment, Jun Haoyan felt a huge amount of information rush into his mind, almost filling his brain to the brim. Countless abstruse and mysterious scriptures seemed to be reciting in his mind, causing him to be in great pain. His expression was extremely ferocious. The demonic heaven-devouring skill contained all kinds of mysteries, like the laws of heaven and earth. Jun Haoyan had only learned the basics, but he felt as if his soul had been upgraded. Is this the demonic heaven-devouring skill? Feeling the mysteries of the demonic heaven-devouring skill, Jun Haoyan was extremely shocked. Vicious is really amazing. Such a mysterious and unparalleled skill. No wonder Vicious could suppress the current generation with the demonic heaven-devouring skill. He is unparalleled in the world. Thinking about the effects of the demonic heaven-devouring skill in his mind, Jun Haoyan said with a hint of amazement, "The demonic heaven-devouring skill is really domineering and incomparably violent. If one's talent is not good enough, he can use the demonic heaven-devouring skill to steal the talent of others. If one's physique is not good enough, he can steal the extraordinary physique of others. If one's laws are not good enough, he can steal the power of laws of others. Smelt all the laws in the world, devour all things in the world, and obtain my own Tao. This is the true essence of the demonic heaven-devouring skill." Jun Haoyan's eyes shone with an inexplicable light. That was excitement. That was the seed of ambition that was sprouting. In a way, the demonic heaven-devouring skill was stronger than the heavenly demon skill. The demonic heaven-devouring art was a truly tyrannical supreme cultivation technique. It could devour the essence, energy, and spirit of other living beings and turn them into its own. More importantly, this technique would become stronger as Jun Haoyan's cultivation increased. For the current Jun Haoyan, the demonic heaven-gorging art was more practical than any other cultivation technique. After all, he cultivated the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth, which required immense amounts of power to form his mega mammoth seed. As the number of giant elephant seeds increased, Jun Haoyan required more and more energy. If Jun Haoyan relied purely on cultivation to obtain energy, it was unknown when he would be able to break through again. However, the demonic heaven-devouring art could completely solve this problem. He could refine the essence, energy, and spirit of all living beings for his own use. Although this cultivation method seemed to be a little offensive, Jun Haoyan didn't care about it at all. What did the life and death of others have to do with him? In order to become stronger, he would do anything. Thinking of this, Jun Haoyan sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate the demonic heaven-devouring art. He slowly focused his mind. In his mind, countless black abstruse and mysterious runes flashed and imprinted into his mind. In the next moment, black abstruse and mysterious runes began to cover Jun Haoyan's body. These runes carried a dense and terrifying aura. It was extremely terrifying. Buzz! As Jun Haoyan continued to cultivate, an extremely strange aura emanated from his body. The black runes on his body began to swim like tadpoles. An extremely powerful devouring force appeared on these tadpole-like runes. They were like black holes that could devour everything. It was as if hell was hidden within these black holes. At this moment, Jun Haoyan felt that the tens of thousands of pores on his body were producing an extremely powerful suction force that was constantly robbing everything around him. Jun Haoyan could clearly feel that the speed at which he absorbed the chaotic energy in the demonic heaven-devouring pot had increased by several times. At this moment, he had successfully cultivated the demonic heaven-devouring art. By relying on the demonic heaven-devouring art, Jun Haoyan could even quickly refine the golden-winged rock blood essence in his bloodline. By then, Jun Haoyan's cultivation time to reach the Yuandan realm would be reduced by at least half. It's time to get out. Jun Haoyan's soul secretly probed the outside world and found that the sense of danger had disappeared. It seemed that Jun Haoyan had resolved the crisis. Now he had absorbed most of the energy in the demonic heaven-devouring pot. After losing so much energy, the demonic heaven-devouring pot's quality had dropped. It no longer had the power of a magical item. As long as Jun Haoyan wanted to get out, he could break the demonic heaven-devouring pot at any time. Thinking of this, Jun Haoyan's aura suddenly exploded. Boom! In the next moment, the blood sea floated behind him. 12 demonic god shadows stood on the blood sea. Their auras were monstrous. Each of the demonic god shadows could dominate the heavens. Roar! At the same time, Jun Haoyan activated the strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant. More than 100 primordial mammoth shadows appeared at the same time. Rumble! Before he made a move, the primordial mammoth shadows, and the demonic god shadows behind him swept out with a power that could suppress mountains and rivers and shatter heaven and earth. Feeling the surging power in his body, Jun Haoyan was full of confidence. He clenched his right fist and punched at the demonic heaven-devouring pot. At the same time, the 12 demonic god shadows behind Jun Haoyan supported Jun Haoyan. More than 100 primordial mammoths and 12 demonic god shadows supported Jun Haoyan. His punch was like a collision of stars annihilating the void. Crack! Under Jun Haoyan's terrifying punch, the demonic heaven-devouring pot couldn't withstand it at all and cracked. At the same time, in the main hall of the ruins outside, Jun Haoyan had broken the array of the ruins. At this moment, he was in a mess and his hair was disheveled. He suddenly raised his head and looked at the center of the main hall. There was a huge stone tablet there. On the stone tablet, there were ancient words inscribed on it. The stone tablet emitted traces of yin and yang energy. With just a glance, Jun Haoyan felt refreshed and refreshed. Yin Yang Nirvana Sutra. Jun Haoyan walked to the front of the stone tablet and looked at the content carefully. After a while, he couldn't help but exclaim. This was the cultivation method that the golden-winged great rock had cultivated. Jun Haoyan's body trembled. He was very excited. This cultivation method could be called a supreme cultivation method. It was enough to establish a great sect. Even in the Holy Land, this level of cultivation method was extremely precious. Now that such a precious thing had appeared in front of him, Jun Haoyan felt like he was in a dream. Since entering the ancient bronze palace, he had broken countless arrays and used a lot of origin items and treasures to finally reach this place. Although the process was extremely difficult, Jun Haoyan felt that it was all worth it. Chapter 64. The Yin-Yang Nirvana skill was the main cultivation technique of the golden-winged rock. The most powerful part of this cultivation technique was its ability to fuse different types of true essences together. When a martial artist was cultivating a cultivation technique, he would choose a cultivation technique of the same element. Normally, he would not cultivate two cultivation techniques of different elements at the same time. Otherwise, the martial artist's physical body would be affected, and he would not be able to use his true essence smoothly. This would affect the martial artist's combat strength. However, the Yin-Yang Nirvana skill was different. It could fuse different types of cultivation techniques together without affecting each other. This was the most powerful part of the Yin-Yang Nirvana skill. It is indeed the cultivation technique of the golden-winged rock. It is indeed extraordinary. Jun Haoyan's face was red as he looked at the Yin-Yang Nirvana skill on the stone tablet. This time, it was his great fortune to be able to obtain the Yin-Yang Nirvana skill. In the next moment, Jun Haoyan took a step forward and approached the stone tablet. He was ready to comprehend the Yin-Yang Nirvana skill. Boom! However, right at this moment, a terrifying aura suddenly erupted from his left hand. Jun Haoyan's heart skipped a beat as he looked over. That was the devouring demon vase. Is it going to evolve? Jun Haoyan guessed as he felt the powerful aura from the devouring demon vase. He held the devouring demon vase in his hand and looked at it carefully. However, the devouring demon vase suddenly shook violently as though it was going to explode. Jun Haoyan looked at the devouring demon vase carefully. He felt that the aura from the devouring demon vase was extremely violent and seemed to be out of control. At that moment, Jun Haoyan suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. Is the devouring demon vase going to explode? In the next moment, Jun Haoyan threw the devouring demon vase out without hesitation. Boom! The moment Jun Haoyan threw out the heaven-devouring demonic pot, a thunderous explosion reverberated throughout the hall. How? How is this possible? Looking at the broken heaven-devouring demonic pot, Jun Haoyan was dumbfounded. His eyes were filled with disbelief. My devouring demon vase, how? How did it explode? Jun Haoyan muttered to himself with confusion in his eyes. No, where is my yin-yang power? Where is my golden-winged rock blood essence? Suddenly, he seemed to think of something. He became extremely excited as he stared blankly at the ruined heaven-devouring devil pot. His body began to tremble uncontrollably. Where is my supreme creation? Where's my baby? Where is my precious magic pot? What the hell is going on? Jun Outyin went crazy when he saw that the heaven-devouring demonic pot was now empty. He could not believe what had just happened. There was nothing left. The treasures that he had painstakingly obtained through countless life and death situations had all suddenly disappeared. Even the heaven-devouring demonic vase that he had been relying on all this while exploded. Jun Outyin was completely dumbfounded. He was going crazy. What the hell was going on? Ta-ta-ta. At this moment, the sound of footsteps could be heard in the thick fog of the explosion. Thank you for your help, Jun Outyin. How should I repay you? At the same time, a man's voice came from the thick fog. Who is it? Get out here. Jun Outyin's face turned pale when he heard the voice. He shouted at the thick fog. Hee, with your current state of mind, you don't deserve to be the son of Providence. A figure slowly walked out of the thick fog as soon as he finished his words. He was wearing a white robe with dashing eyebrows and bright eyes. It was Jun Outyin. Jun Outyin walked out of the thick fog slowly. He looked calm and his body exuded an overbearing aura. It's you, Jun Outyin. Why are you here? The moment Jun Outyin came out of the heaven-devouring demonic pot, he had already taken off the bronze mask on his face. When Jun Outyin saw Jun Outyin, it was as if he had seen a ghost. His face was filled with disbelief. Haha, why can't I appear here? According to you, shouldn't I be dead by now? Isn't that right? My genius cousin. Jun Outyin looked at Jun Outyin with a faint smile on his face. However, his dark eyes were cold. Impossible. How did you become so strong all of a sudden? Weren't you crippled by me? Jun Outyin looked at Jun Outyin and felt the aura coming from him. He could not believe it. If I didn't become stronger, I would have been killed by your father. Jun Outyin said with a cold smile. My father? What did you do to my father? Jun Outyin's body froze, and he shouted angrily when he heard that. Jun Outyin knew about Jun Wuhui's plan. However, since Jun Outyin was still alive and his strength had become so terrifying, then his father, wouldn't that be a disaster? Your father? You mean my good uncle? Jun Outyin looked at Jun Outyin mockingly and said coldly. He colluded with outsiders and tried to usurp the position of the family head. I have already killed him. What? You killed my father. Jun Outyin's eyes turned red, and he looked at Jun Outyin ferociously. Not only that, but your father-in-law and brother-in-law also died in my hands. The entire city lord's mansion was destroyed by me. Jun Outyin's expression didn't change when he saw the crazed look on Jun Outyin's face. You are asking for it. Hearing this, Jun Outyin couldn't take it anymore. He immediately threw a great yin-yang demonic punch at Jun Outyin. Since I can cripple you once, I can cripple you a second time. Jun Outyin looked at Jun Outyin ferociously, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Although Jun Outyin's aura was extraordinary, Jun Outyin was very confident. He had always been good at fighting above his level. Even if Jun Outyin's cultivation was higher than his, he could still defeat him. That's it. How dare you talk so big? Facing Jun Outyin's powerful punch, Jun Outyin looked disdainful. Roar! Jun Outyin activated the strength of the hell-crushing divine elephant, and more than 100 archaic mammoth shadows appeared behind him. Then, Jun Outyin threw a punch at Jun Outyin's fist. Boom! When the two fists collided, an extremely powerful force burst out and caused the void to tremble. In the next moment, Jun Outyin was sent flying. Puffed! Jun Outyin flew for more than 10 meters and spat out a mouthful of blood as soon as he landed. You are the masked man. Jun Outyin didn't care about the blood flowing out of his mouth. Instead, he looked at Jun Outyin in shock. Clearly, the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth that Jun Outyin had just unleashed had allowed him to recognize him as the same Jun Outyin that he had devoured with the heaven-devouring devil pot. Your eyesight is really bad. It took you so long to recognize me. Hearing that, Jun Outyin's face was calm as he mocked. Chapter 65. Didn't the devouring demon pot? Jun Outyin looked at Jun Outyin in shock. Suddenly, he thought of something and stared at Jun Outyin. You did this. You did this to the devouring demon pot. I told you that you were slow to react. Jun Haoyan's tone carried a trace of mockery as he said, "That's right. I did everything. The yin and yang energy you collected, the golden-winged Great Pang's blood essence, were all absorbed by me. Your heaven-devouring demonic pot was also destroyed by me. Speaking of which, I have to thank you. If you didn't keep me in the devouring demon pot, I wouldn't have gotten this opportunity." Jun Haoyan paused and looked at Jun Haoyan mockingly. "Arg. Blarg." Hearing that, Jun Haoyan looked at Jun Haoyan with a gaze that turned from shock to madness. He was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. The opportunity that he had worked so hard to get was gone just like that. "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Arg." Jun Haoyan had completely lost his mind and was on the verge of a mental breakdown. There was only one thought in his mind. He wanted to kill Jun Haoyan. He wanted to kill Jun Haoyan at any cost, even if he had to die together with Jun Haoyan. In fact, no matter who it was, they would have lost their mind. After going through a series of blows, Jun Haoyan did not lose his mind. His mental fortitude was considered good. Jun Haoyan was like a wild beast that had lost his mind. The true origin in his body went berserk. Yin-Yang Reversal Secret Skill, activate. Yin-Yang Annihilation Formation, activate. At this moment, Jun Haoyan had used all his trump cards. A determined aura exuded from his body. Then, a beam of light formed by the Yin-Yang force shot toward Jun Haoyan. Wherever it passed, the space shook and twisted. However, Jun Haoyan shook his head in disdain when he saw this. If it was before he had the devouring demon pot, he might not have been able to deal with Jun Haoyan's attack. But now it was somewhat unpresentable. Jun Haoyan was no match for Jun Haoyan, who was at the 6th level of the true energy realm. Even though he had relied on Jun Haoyan to achieve what he had now, it was all because of Jun Haoyan. But those who should be killed must be killed. A cold smile appeared on Jun Haoyan's face as he activated the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth, causing numerous images of primeval mega mammoths to appear behind him. Jun Haoyan's entire body emitted a dazzling divine light, exuding a supreme divine might. At the same time, 12 demonic shadows slowly appeared behind Jun Haoyan. "Jun Haoyan, rest in peace." As soon as he finished speaking, Jun Haoyan moved in a flash and threw a punch at Jun Haoyan. There was nothing fancy about it. It was just a single punch. Over 100 primordial mammoth phantoms and 12 demon gods phantoms. Jun Haoyan's punch was enough to shake the heavens and earth. An extremely violent energy rippled out, as if everything in the world was about to submit under Jun Haoyan's feet. The punch caused the hall to tremble and the ground to collapse. If it weren't for the protection of the array formation in the ancient ruins hall, the entire hall would have been destroyed by the aftermath of Jun Haoyan's punch. Soon Jun Haoyan's punch collided with Jun Haoyan's yin-yang light beam. In the next moment, Jun Haoyan was shocked by what happened. The yin-yang light beam that he had unleashed with all his might was shattered by Jun Haoyan's punch, like a piece of paper under Jun Haoyan's punch. "This is impossible. How can you be so strong?" Jun Haoyan's eyes widened in disbelief when he saw this. You're too weak." Jun Haoyan's expression was cold as he continued to punch Jun Haoyan. "My good cousin, be a good boy and be on your way. Don't worry. I'll send your sweetheart down to reunite with you soon." Jun Haoyan had helped him a lot, and in terms of bloodline, Jun Haoyan was his cousin. Jun Haoyan felt that he had to help him. They were a family after all. It was better to stay together. The son of Providence and the female lead were a match made in heaven. It would be sad if they were separated by yin and yang. Moreover, if Jun Haoyan died and Long Ziyue fell in love with someone else, his cousin would be a cuckold. Therefore, Jun Haoyan decided that he would send Long Ziyue down to reunite with Jun Haoyan after they entered the Langia sacred ground. "Arg. Jun Haoyan, I'll haunt you even if I become a ghost." Jun Haoyan was in complete despair when faced with Jun Haoyan's terrifying punch. Just the shockwave alone was enough to break him down. "Rest in peace, my cousin." The next moment, the terrifying shadow of the punch landed on Jun Haoyan's body. The mighty power of the punch tore Jun Haoyan's body apart. Poof, 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 poof. Then blood rained down from the sky like a blood-red flower. Jun Haoyan's body was smashed into countless pieces by Jun Haoyan's punch, and fell into the sky. The son of Providence, haha. That's all there is to it. After killing Jun Outyin, Jun Haoyin looked as if he had been relieved of a heavy burden. Something's not right. However, Jun Haoyin looked at the blood raining down from the sky and became cautious. Could Jun Haoyin come back to life? This thought suddenly emerged in Jun Haoyin's mind. The son of Providence was like a cockroach that could not be killed. He would not die easily. Even if his body was destroyed, his soul could still take over someone else's body and be reborn. Thinking of this, Jun Haoyin's heart skipped a beat, and he suddenly circulated the demonic heaven-devouring skill. Then, black runes appeared on Jun Haoyin's body. In the face of the blood raining down from the sky, Jun Haoyin opened his hands. Devour! Jun Haoyin's lips moved slightly, and a powerful suction force appeared on his palms. He started to absorb Jun Haoyin's remaining essence. Under Jun Haoyin's heaven-devouring demonic skill, the blood chi essence and divine soul that Jun Haoyin had left behind were all plundered by Jun Haoyin. Moreover, after absorbing Jun Haoyin's essence, Jun Haoyin felt that the giant elephant seed in his body was showing signs of awakening. After doing all this, Jun Haoyin took a deep breath. This time, Jun Haoyin should be dead for sure. After picking up Jun Haoyin's storage ring, Jun Haoyin began to adjust the surging true yuan in his body. It's a pity that the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth and the celestial fiend celestial mantra are two different types of cultivation techniques. Jun Haoyin couldn't help but frown when he thought about how he had just used the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth and the celestial fiend celestial mantra at the same time. If he were to fight against someone of the same level, this flaw could be fatal. After all, in a battle between experts, life and death could be decided with a single thought. If he used the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth and the celestial fiend celestial mantra at the same time, his true yuan would clash and could very well lead to his defeat. If only there was a cultivation technique that could help me fuse different types of true yuan, Jun Haoyin thought to himself. End of book. Chapter 66. By the way, does this stone tablet record the inheritance of the golden-winged rock? At that moment, Jun Haoyin also noticed the stone tablet in the middle of the hall. After that, Jun Haoyin walked up to the stone tablet with curiosity in his heart. Yin Yang Nirvana Manual. Jun Haoyin looked at the ancient words on the stone tablet. At that moment, a dark light suddenly rushed into Jun Haoyin's mind from the stone tablet. Boom! There was an explosion in Jun Haoyin's mind, and a line of Tao Xian's mysterious words appeared in his spiritual soul. Yin Yang Nirvana Manual. The cultivator can gather the pure yin and yang energy between heaven and earth, and combine the unique characteristics of countless skills to achieve mastery without any hindrance. When Jun Haoyin absorbed the information in his mind, he was shocked. Just a moment ago, he was still worried about how to convert his true origin with different elemental skills. Now a supreme skill had appeared to solve his problem. He really got what he wanted. But soon, Jun Haoyin's face became strange. He looked at the hall, and suddenly found the array that Jun Haoyin had broken. He thought about the sense of danger he had felt in the heaven-devouring demonic jar. Could it be from the array in the hall? So, after Jun Haoyin had broken the array and obtained the inheritance of the ruins, Jun Haoyin immediately thought of Jun Haoyin. He was touched. What a good person. My good cousin. Brother will give me whatever I need. After lamenting for a while, Jun Haoyin stopped thinking about Jun Haoyin and looked at the stone tablet again. Crack! At that moment, cracks began to appear on the stone tablet. Boom! In the next moment, the stone tablet that recorded the Yin Yang Nirvana Manual shattered. Jun Haoyin had planned to continue comprehending it, but it seemed that his plan was not going to work. Fortunately, Jun Haoyin had already memorized all the contents of the Yin Yang Nirvana Manual. After that, Jun Haoyin looked around the hall to see if there was anything else of value. This golden-winged rock is really poor. After a while, Jun Haoyin, who did not find anything, could not help but complain. He had some doubts in his heart that this place was not the remains left behind by the golden-winged great Peng after its death. How could the great golden-winged Great Pung leave behind such little things after its death? Jun Haoyan guessed that the golden-winged Great Pung had once stayed here and left this ancient bronze hall as a place of inheritance. Since there were no other discoveries, Jun Haoyan found a place in the hall and began to cultivate the Yin-Yang Nirvana art. The Yin-Yang Nirvana technique was also a supreme technique. Although it didn't have any powerful killing techniques, its effects were incomparably wonderful. At this moment, within Jun Haoyan's body, streams of yin and yang energy began to fuse into his body. At the same time, the strength of the hell-crushing god Mammoth and the heavenly devil god incantation began to stabilize. Under the effect of the Yin-Yang Nirvana art, the two techniques began to intersect and fuse. In the end, they became one and could not be separated. Of course, this did not mean that the two techniques had completely fused. It was just that in the future, when Jun Haoyan used the two techniques at the same time, the conversion of true energy would no longer conflict. In the future, when Jun Haoyan converted true energy, there would be no obstruction at all. After the fusion of the strength of the hell-crushing god Mammoth and the heavenly devil god incantation, the true energy in Jun Haoyan's body became incomparably smooth. At this moment his strength had increased once again. Now Jun Haoyan stood on the Taiji 8 trigram seal, supported by the power of 12 devil gods, with the shadow of a devil god behind him, and the shadow of an ancient mammoth above his head, exuding an incomparably terrifying aura. Above the 9 heavens he could become a god. Below the 9 underworlds, he could become a supreme true devil. It's time to leave the ruins. Jun Haoyan retracted his aura and thought to himself, with his current strength, even in the Langya Holy Land, he could be considered a top existence. Rumble. At this moment, Jun Haoyan suddenly felt the hall beneath his feet tremble, as if it was about to collapse. Oh no! Jun Haoyan's heart skipped a beat. Immediately, he flew up into the air and threw a punch at the ceiling of the main hall. Boom! Jun Haoyan's punch directly opened a big hole in the top of the hall. Through the hole, Jun Haoyan directly left the hall. After Jun Haoyan left the hall, the entire ancient bronze hall collapsed. This is the end of the inheritance, Jun Haoyan said slowly as he watched the scene unfold before him. Boom! At this moment, Jun Haoyan suddenly felt a majestic energy fluctuation from the distant horizon. Looking over, they saw a shocking blue light shoot up into the sky from the eastern horizon. Looking at the blue light, Jun Haoyan frowned. He felt that the blue light had a trace of heat, but he also felt a trace of coldness. It was really strange. Moreover, this aura. Jun Haoyan carefully sensed that the blue light had a familiar aura. It's her Nailan Shui. A thought flashed through Jun Haoyan's mind, and he suddenly thought of Nailan Shui. This familiar aura belonged to Nailan Shui. Looking at the blue light, Jun Haoyan muttered to himself. It seems that Nailan Shui has encountered something extraordinary. This aura, could it be the same as the heavenly flame? Heavenly flame. Jun Haoyan suddenly thought of his Gold Emperor Sky Incinerating Flame. If he could obtain another heavenly flame, he could use the Buddha's fiery lotus. Thinking of this, Jun Haoyan soared into the air and flew directly towards the blue light beam. The location of the blue light was in a mountain range. At this moment, Nailan Shui's body was surrounded by a blue flame. The blue flame seemed to be some kind of extremely cold flame. There was a faint ice fog in the surrounding air, as if the void was about to be frozen. I've finally refined the netherworld fire successfully. Nailan Shui's mind moved, and all the blue flames slowly retracted into her body. Her face was filled with extreme excitement. After refining the netherworld fire, she had condensed the netherworld spiritual body as she wished. From now on, her talent would be on another level. Moreover, the netherworld spiritual body she condensed was a special spiritual body. It was even stronger than the average spiritual body. Suddenly, she frowned and looked around. Oh no! It must be the overflowing energy when I condensed the spiritual body that attracted outsiders. I can't stay here any longer. Nailan Shui thought to herself. She had just refined the netherworld fire, and her strength had not recovered yet. She was also not very familiar with controlling the netherworld fire. Facing unknown intruders, Naylan Shue would naturally avoid them. After choosing a direction, Naylan Shue flew into the air and prepared to leave. Boom! But at this moment the dark void surged. One by one, silhouettes emerged from the void, or from the forest surrounding Naylan Shue. Hee hee, so it's Princess Naylan. You're really lucky. Chapter 67. Princess Naylan, if you know what's good for you, you'd better leave the treasure behind. Otherwise, don't blame us for being ruthless. Hee hee, Princess Naylan is so beautiful. If you don't know what's good for you, don't blame us for being merciless. Threatening and mocking voices could be heard all around her, causing Naylan Shue to frown slightly. She looked around and saw that the people around her were led by the disciples of Proud Sword Villa and Nether Sect. After Jun Haotian received the Golden Winged Rock's inheritance, everyone who was still struggling in the ancient Bronze Hall was thrown out by an unknown force. Seeing this, the disciples of Proud Sword Villa and Nether Sect naturally knew that the inheritance of the relic had an owner. They guessed that the owner of the inheritance was none other than Jun Haotian. Jun Haotian and the others were no match for him, so they had no choice but to leave the ancient Bronze Hall. When they saw the blue light shooting up into the sky, they thought that there was a treasure here, and immediately rushed over. Humph! You must be dreaming. Naylan Shue snorted when she heard these words. She had worked hard to obtain the nether obsidian fire. It was also the main reason why she could transform into a nether spiritual form. How could she give up such an important thing? If that's the case, don't blame us for being merciless. Hearing this, the young disciple of Proud Sword Villa's face turned cold. He immediately ordered, "Kill her." In an instant, the sword light shot up into the sky and streaked across the void. Let's go. The disciples of Nether Sect also took out their origin tools. In an instant, the sound of killing shook the sky. A terrifying wave of attacks swept toward Naylan Shue, like a monstrous wave. A great battle was about to break out. In the void, all kinds of attacks swept across, and killing intent filled the sky. When Naylan Shue saw this, she knew that things were not going well. In the next moment, her red dress fluttered, and a blue flame suddenly appeared in her palm. The moment the netherworld obsidian fire appeared, the temperature of the surrounding void dropped instantly. Even the air was gradually filled with wisps of icy mist. What kind of flame is that? Seeing this, the group of martial artists surrounding Naylan Shue looked at the flame in Naylan Shue's hand with fear. Who cares what kind of flame it is? She's alone. How can she fight us? At this moment, a disciple of the Proud Sword Villa spoke. As soon as he finished speaking, he pierced his sword towards Naylan Shue. With someone taking the lead, several other disciples of the Proud Sword Manor followed suit. You're courting death. Naylan Shue's face was ice cold. In the next moment, the netherworld profound fire in her hand suddenly turned into a sea of fire that swept towards the attackers. Then a shocking scene occurred. The moment the disciples of the Proud Sword Villa came into contact with the netherworld mystical fire, they all turned into ice sculptures and fell from the void. The ice sculpture fell to the ground and turned into countless ice shards. Several disciples of the Proud Sword Villa died on the spot. Hiss! Seeing this scene, the surrounding cultivators all sucked in a breath of cold air. They all looked at the netherworld obsidian flame in Naylan Shue's hand in horror. Wasn't this blue flame a little too overbearing? After witnessing the power of the nether mysterious flame, everyone was a little shocked, but they were even more greedy. An ordinary man is innocent, but treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime. If Jun Haotian obtained the netherworld profound fire, they naturally would not dare to snatch it. However, facing Naylan Shue, who was only at the first level of the true energy realm, they did not take her seriously. In short, being weak was a sin. On the other hand, after Naylan Shue activated the netherworld profound fire once, her face turned pale. Although the netherworld profound fire was extremely powerful, with Naylan Shue's current cultivation, it still consumed a lot of true energy and spiritual energy to activate it. If it were not for Naylan Shue's spiritual energy, she would not have been able to activate the netherworld profound fire at all. Kill! At this moment, the group of cultivators launched another attack on Nayland Schwer. Nayland Schwer forcibly activated the Netherworld Profound Fire and killed a few more disciples of the Dark Sect. However, it did not have much of an effect. There were more than 100 cultivators besieging Nayland Schwer. No matter how powerful the Netherworld Profound Fire was, it was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. Moreover, Nayland Schwer had not recovered her strength because she had refined the Netherworld Profound Fire. At this moment, Nayland Schwer was truly in great danger. Boom! Another terrifying attack came. Nayland Schwer was caught off guard and was directly sent flying. Puff! While her delicate body was still in the air, Nayland Schwer spat out a mouthful of blood. Princess Nayland, you asked for it. I'll give you one last chance. Hand over the flame obediently, and I'll spare your life. The Nether Sect's disciple who sent Nayland Schwer flying just now looked at Nayland Schwer arrogantly, his voice cold. What should I do? What should I do? At this moment, Nayland Schwer's face was extremely pale, and her heart was burning with anxiety. I can only use the secret technique to break out of this encirclement. As though she had made a decision, Nayland Schwer's eyes gradually became determined. Then, she slowly wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and bit her red lips tightly. The true energy in her body began to surge. Clang! At this moment, the sound of a sword clanging could be heard. Then, a powerful sword chi swept over, causing Nayland Schwer to feel a chill run down her spine. Puff! Nayland Schwer could not dodge in time, and her left shoulder was instantly slashed by the sword chi, causing blood to gush out. At the same time, the Dark Sect disciple on the other side continued to attack and launched a series of fatal attacks. Boom! Under the immense pressure, Nayland Schwer could not dodge in time. She was hit by another attack and was severely injured. Princess Nayland, I say, you're a woman. Why are you so stubborn? Hand over the treasure obediently, and we won't hurt you. That's right. As long as you hand over the treasure, we can't wait to dote on you. Why would we hurt you? Haha, that's right. We have the same idea. Seeing that Nayland Schwer was severely injured, the proud Sword Villa and Dark Sect disciples in the air spoke arrogantly. As the most beautiful woman in the Great Yin Empire, Nayland Schwer's appearance and temperament were superior. Even the disciples of the major sects were tempted. When Nayland Schwer heard these filthy words, a sharp killing intent flashed in her beautiful eyes. Even if I die, I won't let you despicable little brothers have your way. Nayland Schwer stood up with difficulty and mobilized what little true energy was left in her body. The nether mystic fire floated in the center of her palm. At this moment, Nayland Schwer planned to fight to the death with these people. Boom! However, at this moment, there was a sudden explosion in the air. At the same time, a vast and terrifying aura slowly descended, suppressing all the martial artists present. Everyone felt a chill run down their spines when they felt this aura. Even Nayland Schwer's body stiffened as she slowly looked up into the air. Chapter 68. In the air, Jun Haoyan stood alone. His white robe was purer than snow, and his hands were behind his back. He looked as handsome as jade. A terrifying aura surged out of his body, forming a wave of primal chi. Hao Tian, you're still alive? Nayland Schwer was stunned when she saw Jun Haoyan. Her beautiful face was filled with disbelief. Wasn't he sucked into Jun Haoyan's heaven-devouring demonic pot? How could he still be alive? Since he came out alive, what about Jun Haoyan? Questions lingered in Nayland Schwer's mind. Moreover, he's stronger than last time. Nayland Schwer muttered to herself when she felt the aura from Jun Haoyan. She realized that she could not see through Jun Haoyan anymore. He was so young, but his strength had reached such a terrifying level. Even in the sacred land, there were not many people like him. Why haven't I heard of Hao Tian's name in my previous life? Nayland Schwer was puzzled. Since Jun Haoyan was so talented, she should have heard of him in her previous life. However, she could not find any information about Jun Haoyan, even after racking her brains. Have I seen him in my previous life? Nayland Schwer was even more confused when she thought of the familiarity she felt when she first met Jun Haoyan. She had seen many geniuses in the sacred land in her previous life. However, she did not have any impression of someone at Jun Haotian's age, who had such a temperament and cultivation. At this moment, the disciples of the Nether sect in Proud Sword Manor also noticed Jun Haotian. When they heard Naylan Shue's voice, they knew that Jun Haotian was here for Naylan Shue. When they thought of this, their faces turned gloomy. Judging from Jun Haotian's aura, they knew that he was not weak and would not be easy to deal with. However, they were unwilling to give up on Naylan Shue's treasures and the netherworld obsidian fire. If he could obtain such a miraculous item, he would definitely enjoy a respectable status when he returned to the sect. Thinking of this, everyone looked at Naylan Shue with burning eyes. Although Jun Haotian looked strong, there were many martial artists present. They were not afraid of Jun Haotian. Your Excellency, the disciples of Proud Sword Manor and the Netherworld sect are here for business. Please step aside. With that thought in mind, the Proud Sword Manor's disciple and the Nether sect's disciple said to Jun Haotian. As they spoke, everyone took a step closer to Jun Haotian with a faint sense of oppression. Hehe, what if you want me to refuse? Jun Haotian's expression didn't change in the slightest when he saw this scene, and he spoke lightly. Refuse? Then don't blame us for not giving you face. Brat, hurry up and scram, or I'll kill you on the spot. Upon hearing this, the expressions of the Nether sect's disciples and the Proud Sword Villa's disciples turned unsightly. It was as though they were threatening him. Boom! Suddenly, out of everyone's expectations, Jun Haotian made the first move. He took a step forward in the air and activated the Divine Elephant Overpowering Force. The shadow of the primordial mammoth appeared behind him. As he took a step forward, a vast suppressive force descended from the sky, turning the world upside down. Rumble! Like a thunderclap, it resounded in everyone's ears. Under this vast suppressive force, an ordinary first-level true energy realm martial artist couldn't resist at all. Their bodies exploded, and they died instantly. As for the second-level true energy realm martial artists, they also felt the boundless pressure. Under this suppressive force, they felt the true energy in their bodies collapse. Even their dantian was almost crushed. After a round of suppressive force, only a dozen second-level true energy realm martial artists survived. At this moment, their hearts were trembling with fear. In their hearts, they knew that they had offended someone they shouldn't have. Senior Brother Lin, quick! Use the 7 stars Big Dipper sword formation. At this moment, a Proud Sword Manor's disciple shouted. The other Proud Sword Manor's disciples reacted as well. One by one, they held the long swords in their hands and formed the 7 stars Big Dipper sword formation. They knew that with the current situation, they were no match for Jun Haotian. Their only hope was the sword formation. This sword formation was different from the primordial formation masters. The 7 stars Big Dipper sword formation didn't use the primordial seal as the formation base. Instead, it used people as the formation base. This sword formation was similar to the sword-wielding technique. They were both unique skills of the Proud Sword Manor. Through this combined sword formation, the strength of the people in the formation could be gathered together to fight against a stronger enemy. In the next moment, the 7 Proud Sword Manor's disciples condensed a ray of sword chi. Under the effect of the 7 stars Big Dipper sword formation, the 7 rays of sword chi slowly condensed together and merged into a gigantic sword ray. In an instant, a dazzling sword ray floated in the air, emitting a terrifying sword ray. The sword ray was so sharp that it seemed like it could cut the air apart. Especially the terrifying aura of the sword ray. Even an ordinary third-level true energy realm martial artist would be killed by it. This was the power of the 7 stars Big Dipper sword formation. It allowed the people in the formation to unleash power beyond their own. The Nether sect's disciples did not hesitate. When they saw the Proud Sword Manor's disciples condensing the 7 stars Big Dipper sword formation, they stepped forward as well. A black flag appeared in each of their hands. In the next moment, they formed hand seals and primordial seals appeared one after another. Under the effect of these primordial seals, the black flags merged and transformed into a huge black flag that was hundreds of feet wide. Under the huge black flag, there seemed to be countless ferocious beasts roaring. Their roars shook the heavens. This huge black flag was actually an origin tool. The combined power of the 7 stars Big Dipper sword formation and the huge black flag was extremely terrifying. In the face of this, Jun Haotian's expression remained unchanged. Jun Haotian had several origin tools, but he still lost to him, let alone these pieces of trash in front of him. With a thought, a towering sea of blood slowly appeared behind Jun Haotian. 12 terrifying figures appeared in the sea of blood. They were terrifying beyond compare. In the next moment, the power of the 12 fiend gods was channeled into Jun Haotian. A terrifying aura spread. The silhouettes of the 12 fiend gods hovered behind Jun Haotian just like that. It made Jun Haotian look like a fiend king who had descended to the world. Boom! When the fiend king descends to the world, all living beings bow before him. Jun Haotian sneered. He clenched his right hand into a fist and threw a punch at the 7 stars Big Dipper sword formation and the huge black flag. In an instant, a boundless gust of wind swept over and rose 1,000 feet into the air. The ground crumbled. Thousands of boulders were reduced to dust. Rumble. Crack. Under Jun Haotian's terrifying punch, the 7 stars Big Dipper sword formation and the huge black flag did not even last for a breath before they shattered. The proud sword manner's disciples and the nether sect's disciples were sent flying hundreds of meters away by this punch. The moment they landed, their bodies were completely shattered because they could not withstand the impact of Jun Haotian's punch. Chapter 69. After killing everyone, Jun Haotian immediately performed the demonic heaven-devouring skill. In an instant, a terrifying devouring power erupted and absorbed all the blood and soul remnants that were left in the air. The powerful energy vibrated as Jun Haotian hovered in the air. Blood rain floated around him, as if he was a living demon. A huge amount of energy surged into his body. In addition to absorbing Jun Haotian's essence, chi and soul, Jun Haotian formed another giant elephant seed. Is this guy still human? At this moment Nailan Shui was looking at Jun Haotian in the air in a daze. That bloody and terrifying scene would forever be engraved in her mind. Jun Haotian had killed the proud sword manner and nether sect disciples with a single punch. In her eyes he was like a ferocious beast in human form. He can even shatter origin artifacts. His physical body is too terrifying. Nailan Shui mumbled to herself in disbelief. After refining everyone's essence, chi and soul, Jun Haotian appeared in front of Nailan Shui in a flash. Thank you, Haotian. Nailan Shui looked at Jun Haotian, her beautiful eyes trembling. She took a deep breath and said slowly, "It's nothing." When Jun Haotian heard this, he smiled faintly. "You should rest for a while first." Sensing that Nailan Shui's true origin was severely depleted, Jun Haotian reminded her. "All right, then I'll have to trouble you to protect me." Nailan Shui forced a smile on her pale face and said sincerely. Jun Haotian nodded and did not say anything. Then Nailan Shui walked to a green rock and started to rest. With Jun Haotian here, she did not have to worry about being hurt. As for Jun Haotian himself, if he wanted to attack her, she would not be able to resist. Seeing that Nailan Shui had started to cultivate right in front of him, Jun Haotian's eyes flashed. Then he found a huge rock and started to sort out the energy in his body. Jun Haotian had undoubtedly gained a lot from this trip to the primordial ruins. In a short time, his cultivation had risen to the terrifying true origin stage 6th level. After all, Jun Haotian had only been in the primordial ruins for slightly more than a month. On the other hand, his cultivation had increased by 5 levels. It was unbelievable. However, it was not a good thing to increase one's cultivation base too quickly. From now on, Jun Haotian's demonic heaven-devouring demonic technique to increase his cultivation base. He wanted to find a way to increase his true origin. Now that his cultivation base was in the 6th stage of the true energy realm, his limits had increased yet again. Now he could produce over 1,000 mega mammoth seeds with the strength of the hell-crushing god mammoth. However, Jun Haotian's demonic elephant mammoth giant origin, giant demonic elephant mammoths, he was still far from the limit of the true origin stage 6th level. What Jun Haoyan wanted to do next was to refine the golden-winged rock's blood essence, stored in his bloodline, and obtain a large amount of energy to form the demonic elephant mammoth seed. Jun Haoyan wanted to increase his true origin stage 6th level to the limit of the true origin stage 6th level. Otherwise, if he blindly increased his cultivation base while his true origin was empty, it would cause his foundation to be weak. However, the energy required to form 1,000 demonic elephant mammoth seeds was enormous. In the past, Jun Haoyan had no idea how long it would take him to reach this goal based on his normal cultivation speed. However, it was not difficult now. With the demonic heaven-devouring demonic technique, Jun Haoyan's cultivation would be like cheating in the future. In addition, the golden-winged rock's blood essence in Jun Haoyan's body was also a huge amount of energy. Jun Haoyan estimated that he would be able to break through to the true origin stage 7th level in less than a month. At that time, he would be in the advanced true origin stage. His strength would be more than 10 times what it was now. In this trip to the primordial ruin, he had benefited greatly from the son of destiny, Jun Haoyan. He had gained the most and benefited the most. Buzz! At that moment, a strange fluctuation interrupted Jun Haoyan's thoughts and attracted his attention. He slowly opened his eyes and looked in Nalan Shue's direction. At that moment, Nalan Shue's body was emitting a blue light and surging true origin. At the same time, a strange aura slowly emerged from her body. This is a spiritual body. Jun Haoyan was surprised when he felt the blue light around Nalan Shue's body. Could it be that she refined the heavenly flame in her body like me and transformed into a spiritual body? Jun Haoyan muttered to himself murmur. For some reason, Jun Haoyan felt much more relaxed after coming to this conclusion. The heavenly flame had been refined by Nalan Shue. If he wanted to obtain the heavenly flame, there was only one way. Kill Nalan Shue. Staring at Nalan Shue, who was immersed in cultivation, Jun Haoyan's eyes flickered. As long as he killed her, he could successfully use the Buddha's fiery lotus. However, when Jun Haoyan saw Nalan Shue, meditating in front of him without any defense, he hesitated. Forget it. It was all thanks to her that he was able to have such a good fortune. If Nalan Shue had not told him about the primordial ruin, Jun Haoyan would not have come here. This heavenly flame would be his thank you gift. Thinking of this, Jun Haoyan felt relieved. Slowly closing his eyes, Jun Haoyan began to circulate the demonic heaven-devouring skill, and focused on refining the golden rock blood essence in his bloodline. Then a powerful aura began to spread from Jun Haoyan's body. Fortunately, the surrounding martial artists had all been killed by Jun Haoyan. No matter how big the commotion was, no one would disturb him. In Jun Haoyan's body, the energy from the golden rock blood essence began to flow wildly in his body. Traces of terrifying energy continuously merged into the particles in Jun Haoyan's body. The countless mammoth embryos in Jun Haoyan's body began to emit an endless light. The energy contained in the golden rock blood essence was simply too massive. Jun Haoyan's mind was focused, completely immersed in refining this energy. One by one, the mammoth seeds began to condense in Jun Haoyan's body. The originally violent energy in Jun Haoyan's body was now like a bright sun, engulfing the entire space. Boom! At this moment, Jun Haoyan felt the energy in his body explode, and the quality of his energy changed. The mammoth seeds in his body were not condensing one by one like before. Instead, dozens of them condensed together. 170, 200, 250, 300, 450. In a short period of time, Jun Haoyan, with the support of this powerful energy, actually condensed more than 300 mammoth seeds in one go. Every giant elephant seed represented a strength of 50,000 kilograms. Even Jun Haoyan fell into a state of shock at such a terrifying progress. Chapter 70. While Jun Haoyan was immersed in refining the golden-winged rock blood essence, on the other side, Nalan Shue's aura was also vibrating. Streaks of dazzling divine light swirled around her body, making her skin appear flawless and white. At this moment, she had an otherworldly aura. This was the effect of the nether spirit body. After a while, Nalan Shuer slowly opened her eyes. Her beautiful eyes shone brightly. I can't believe that refining the nether spirit fire actually raised my cultivation to the second level of the true energy realm. Feeling the aura in her body, Nalan Shuer's face was filled with joy. Her aura was very stable and did not seem like she had just broken through. This was obviously the benefit of the nether spirit body. Boom. However, at this moment, an extremely violent aura suddenly exploded beside her, causing her to tremble. Nalan Shuer immediately looked in the direction of Jun Haotian. Not far away, Nalan Shuer saw that above Jun Haotian, a terrifying vital chi storm had already condensed. With Jun Haotian as the center, the vital chi of heaven and earth within a radius of a few thousand meters gathered here. Jun Haotian was like a divine beast that was about to awaken. His aura was unparalleled, especially the vigorous true essence that Jun Haotian exuded, causing Nalan Shuer to feel even more shocked. What kind of cultivation technique is this guy cultivating? Why is his vital chi so dense? Nalan Shuer was only left with shock. One had to know that she had the nether spirit body, so her foundation was extremely dense. However, it was still not as dense as Jun Haotian's vital chi. Could it be that he also had an extraordinary constitution? This thought suddenly appeared in Nalan Shuer's mind. This was the only way to explain why Jun Haotian was so powerful. Nalan Shuer had never thought that such a terrifying vital chi and physical body would appear in a young man who was only in his teens. This kind of achievement, even the holy son of the Holy Land could not be more terrifying. This guy is simply inhuman. Nalan Shuer muttered softly. She was secretly thankful that she had befriended Jun Haotian in advance. Otherwise, this trip to the ruins would be fraught with grim possibilities. Nalan Shuer slowly got up and walked to Jun Haotian's side to protect him. It would be terrible if any ferocious beasts were attracted by such a huge commotion. In the blink of an eye, 4 days. For the past 4 days, Jun Haotian had been immersed in refining the golden-winged rock blood essence in his body. Now, he had finally refined more than half of the vital blood. His mind sank into his body, and he discovered that he had already condensed a total of over 880 giant elephant seeds. With his foundation, used Shue's martial, vital chi was spirit essence Lin was had yang. Shuer. Rose blood his dragon spirit blood dragon. Blood vital. Blood chi. You. S inins in Sus. Yep, congratulations on your breakthrough. Jun Haotian looked at Ininenzu and said softly. He could tell at a glance that Ininenzu had a breakthrough. Aren't you the same? Ininenzu pouted and said in a strange tone. In front of Jun Haotian's terrifying vital chi, she felt that her second-level true energy realm cultivation was nothing. This was a huge blow to her. Her joy of breaking through to the second-level true energy realm was gone. Haha, it's getting late. We should leave. Jun Haotian chuckled as he looked around at the gloomy sky. When it came to cultivation, one needed to have a balance between tension and relaxation. It was terrifying that he had improved so much in such a short time. The vital blood essence in his body was enough to support his cultivation to the 10th level true energy realm. There was no point in staying in the ruins. Okay, I know how to get out. Ininenzu said immediately. You seem to know a lot about ruins? Jun Haotian looked at Ininenzu suspiciously. This ruin should have never appeared in the world, so outsiders should not know about it. However, before entering the ruin, Ininenzu was sure that this was a ruin left behind by the golden-winged rock. Moreover, Ininenzu could enter the netherworld lake that everyone feared. The heavenly flame that she refined had a very strange origin. I once obtained some secrets about this ruin by chance. Ininenzu stammered. It was obvious that she had some secrets. I see. Let's go. Seeing her like this, Jun Haotian naturally knew that she didn't want to talk about it. Then, the two of them left the place. You're saying that this transportation formation can send us directly to the other side of the Demon Sea? A moment later, in an extremely secretive place in the primordial ruin, Jun Haotian looked at Ininenzu in surprise. In front of them were a few formation bases with runes inscribed on them. This was a transportation formation that could send them to the other side of the Demon Sea. Every teleportation array could send people to different regions. On the other side of the Demon Sea was the human sacred land, the Demon Dao Demon Sect. That was the most exciting place in the entire martial god continent. After this farewell, I wonder when we'll meet again. Inen and Shui looked at the young man in front of her with a smile in her beautiful eyes. When she left Great Yan's capital, she did not expect that this experience would be so wonderful. Previously, Jun Haoyan had told her that Jun Haoyan was dead. Inen and Shui had mixed feelings when she heard the news, but she was relieved. Although she could not kill Jun Haoyan with her own hands, his death was undoubtedly a great relief to her. I'm going this time to join the Langia Sacred Ground. You've already condensed a spirit body, so joining the Jade Lake Sacred Ground is a cinch. There will definitely be a chance to meet again in the future. Upon hearing this, Jun Haoyan looked at the transportation formation and said with a smile. Both of them had joined the sacred grounds, which were the strongest forces in this world. They would naturally have a chance to meet again in the future. Then, the two of them each chose a transportation formation and walked up. A day later, at the foot of a vast and boundless divine mountain, Jun Haoyan looked at the top of the mountain with a calm expression. The surroundings were incomparably desolate and filled with a wild aura. The martial god continent was divided into 5 major dominions. They were the Eastern Wilderness, Northern Sea, Southern Border, Middle Plains, and Western Desert. The 7 sacred lands of the human race were all in the Eastern Wilderness. Among the 5 dominions, the most prosperous one was the Middle Plains in the center. Compared to the Middle Plains, the Eastern Wilderness was incomparably desolate and was the largest region. In ancient times, it was often the battlefield of supreme experts. When supreme experts attacked, mountains and rivers would definitely shatter, and space would be torn apart. Therefore, the Eastern Wilderness was often damaged. Even after 1,000,000 years, the Eastern Wilderness had always been a training ground for the thousands of races, and the flames of war were incessant. Chapter 71. All these years, if it were not for the 7 sacred grounds, the entire Eastern Wilderness would have been in chaos. After stepping into different teleportation formations, Jun Haoyan and Nailan Shui parted ways. At that moment, Jun Haoyan was alone. Jun Haoyan looked ahead with a hint of surprise. There, countless sacred mountains stood tall, emitting tens of thousands of rays of light. Among them, a few of the main peaks even shot into the clouds, as if they were above the 9 heavens. They were surrounded by stars. From afar, countless pavilions floated in the sacred light, leaving behind countless rays of light. It was like a paradise on earth. Even though he was far away, Jun Haoyan could still feel the vast aura emanating from the sacred mountains. Jun Haoyan had never seen such a majestic scene before. Now that he saw it for the first time, he was shocked. It was indeed one of the most powerful sacred grounds in the Einherjar continent. Only a sacred ground could build such an ethereal mountain gate. Then, Jun Haoyan took a deep breath and walked toward the Langia Sacred Grounds sect protecting formation. Boom! When Jun Haoyan entered the Langia Sacred Grounds sect protecting formation, a vast aura spread out. A vast aura shook the area. Above the firmament, a dazzling divine light suddenly fell on Jun Haoyan's body. At the same time, Jun Haoyan felt a great sense of crisis in his heart. Without hesitation, Jun Haoyan took out the token that Jun Moyo had given him. Buzz! The moment the token was taken out, Jun Haoyan felt the sense of danger disappear quickly. At the same time, another sacred light shone on the token in Jun Haoyan's hand. In the next moment, the token disappeared. If not for this token, I would have been killed by the sect protecting formation the moment I stepped in. Jun Haoyan said with lingering fear, as he looked at the sacred light that had disappeared. Jun Haoyan didn't dare to move in the slightest, as he waited quietly within the sect protecting formation. After a while, he suddenly felt a strange fluctuation. Raising his head, he saw a meteor-like beam of light descending from the heavens among the countless divine mountains. A moment later, the stream of light landed in front of Jun Haoyan. The divine light slowly dissipated, and a figure walked out from within. It was a woman who looked to be in her 20s. She wore a long purple dress, and her hands were placed in front of her abdomen. Her face was peerlessly beautiful, like a fairy descending to the mortal world. In addition to her peerless beauty and unparalleled temperament, the energy fluctuations emanating from her body shocked Jun Haoyan even more. The woman's aura was incomparably cold, causing the surrounding air to slightly freeze. Jun Haoyan stood in front of the woman, as if he was standing in an icy purgatory. "Who are you? Where did you get this token?" The woman's cold gaze swept across Jun Haoyan with a hint of scrutiny. "My name is Jun Haoyan, and this token was given to me by my father," Jun Haoyan said slowly as he looked at the beautiful woman in front of him. "You are Haoyan." Hearing Jun Haoyan's words, a hint of surprise appeared on the purple-robed woman's beautiful face. She looked at Jun Haoyan excitedly. As she spoke, the woman in purple walked directly to Jun Haoyan, grabbed his hand, and lifted the shirt on his arm. A crescent-shaped red mark appeared on Jun Haoyan's arm. "It really is Haoyan. Haoyan, you have grown so big." Seeing this mark, the woman in purple seemed to be even more certain of Jun Haoyan's true identity. The coldness on her body completely faded away, and her expression became extremely excited. She excitedly pinched Jun Haoyan's face, rubbing and pinching it. The coldness from before was completely gone. This situation stunned Jun Haoyan. In the face of this woman with such terrifying strength, he did not dare to resist. "Ah, Guliang you are?" Jun Haoyan asked in confusion. "What Guliang? I am your elder sister Jun Moyo." The woman in purple was somewhat dissatisfied with Jun Haoyan's way of addressing her, and her tone was slightly resentful. "You are my elder sister." Hearing this, Jun Haoyan was a little confused. He carefully looked at the woman in front of him, but he could not find any impression of her in his mind. It was no wonder that Jun Moyo left the Jun family 10 years ago. At that time, Jun Haoyan was still young, so he could not remember anything. "Well, do you remember?" Seeing Jun Haoyan, Jun Moyo seemed to be in an extremely good mood. She pulled Jun Haoyan's wrist and said happily, "Well, this is not the place to talk. Let me take you to my territory." With that, Jun Moyo slowly took a step forward. However, with just one step, Jun Haoyan was moved. He felt the sky and earth spinning, and the surrounding sacred mountains flashed quickly in front of his eyes. This is the divine power technique. Seeing this scene, Jun Haoyan was a little shocked. The divine power technique could only be used by great warriors in the Yuandan realm. His elder sister, whom he had not seen for 10 years, was actually a great warrior in the Yuandan realm. At this moment, Jun Haoyan's heart was filled with horror. This was the Yuandan realm, which was many times stronger than the true energy realm. After reaching this realm, one's strength would undergo a qualitative change. As expected of the 7 great sacred lands of the human race, there were indeed crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Jun Haoyan had not been in the sacred lands for long, and he had already met a Yuandan realm martial artist. Jun Haoyan could not help but be amazed by the sacred land's resources. During the process of Jun Moyo pulling Jun Haoyan also saw the tip of the iceberg of the Langya sacred lands. The entire Langya sacred lands seemed to be suspended in the void. Tens of thousands of sacred mountains sat on top of the clouds, and countless pavilions and terraces stretched endlessly. With just a quick glance, Jun Haoyan had already seen the resources of a sacred lands. Extravagant. Truly extravagant. Proud Sword Manor and Nether Sect were like ants in front of the Langya sacred lands. After a while, Jun Moyo pulled Jun Haoyan to a sacred mountain. This sacred mountain sat among the clouds. The scenery was beautiful, and the sunlight was boundless. There were also red-crowned cranes and various auspicious beasts roaming around. This was especially true for the purple palace on the sacred mountain. It was incomparably huge, with dragons and phoenixes carved on it. It was extremely majestic. It was much more superior than the palace. Even when Jun Haoyan stood in front of this palace, he could feel an extremely powerful aura. Precious weapon. This palace was actually a precious weapon, as expected of the sacred lands of the human race. Upon seeing this, Jun Haoyan could not help but exclaim again. Until now, he had only seen a precious weapon on Jun Haoyan, the son of Providence. However, when Jun Haoyan thought about Jun Moyo's terrifying cultivation base, he understood. What was wrong with the Yuan Dan realm martial artist having a precious weapon? Haoyan, your cultivation base is at the 6th level of the true energy realm. Jun Haoyan was still exclaiming. However, when he calmed down and checked Jun Haoyan's cultivation base, Jun Moyo was also shocked. He was surprised that Yi Lingchen had reached the 6th level of the true energy realm at such a young age. He did not seem to have achieved this back then. Chapter 72. She knew very well what kind of place Soaring Dragon City was. It was a small and remote city, where it was difficult for even a transcendent to appear. However, her younger brother, whom she had not seen for 10 years, was actually at the 6th level of the true energy realm at such a young age. Jun Moyo could not help but be shocked. After hearing Jun Moyo's words, Jun Haoyan nodded calmly. He thought about it, and told her about how he had entered the remains of the Golden Winged Rock. Of course, Jun Haoyan had made some changes to some of his secrets. After hearing Jun Haoyan's explanation, Jun Moyo exclaimed in admiration. Tsk, Haoyan, I didn't expect you to be so lucky. In fact, she had also heard about the ancient remains above the Demon Sea. However, she had only thought that it was a small remains, and did not pay much attention to it. However, after hearing what Jun Haoyan said, she was shocked. The remains left behind by the Golden Winged Rock were not small remains. Even she was a little envious of the things inside. I originally wanted to arrange for you to enter the inner sect through my connections. However, it seems that there is no need for that now. With your current cultivation, it is more than enough for you to enter the inner sect. Jun Moyo said proudly as she looked at Jun Haoyan with her beautiful eyes. She was very satisfied with Jun Haoyan's current strength. Jun Haoyan was surprised to hear that. He did not expect that with his strength at the 6th level of the true energy realm, he could only barely become an inner sect disciple in Lengya Sanctuary. Just as Jun Haoyan was secretly shocked, a vast and terrifying aura suddenly descended. Jun Haoyan was shocked when he suddenly felt the aura. He raised his head and looked in the direction of the aura. A man suddenly appeared in the sky. He was wearing a long green robe and had a very handsome face. The man was surrounded by terrifying true energy that surged like a storm of true energy. Seeing this scene, Jun Haoyan was secretly shocked. This man was so strong. Such a violent true essence. Such a terrifying aura. This man was definitely a Yuan Dan realm master. Yuan Dan realm cultivation. It seemed like this man was the same as Jun Moyo, a true disciple of the Lengya sacred ground. Junior sister Mou. While Jun Haoyan was still in a daze, the man in the void had already landed in front of Jun Moyo. He stared at Jun Moyo with a smile. Her gaze was completely focused on Jun Mou. Jun Haoyan, who was beside him, was completely ignored by her. It was as though Jun Haoyan, who was merely at the 6th level of the true energy stage, was not worthy of his attention. Sing Shan, what are you doing here at Mou Divine Peak? Seeing the man, Jun Moyo's face instantly turned cold, as if he didn't like this man. Sing Shan. Hearing these 3 words, Jun Haoyan's expression couldn't help but tense up. This man in green was surnamed Qi. Jun Haoyan still remembered that before Lu Feng died, he had revealed that the person behind him was surnamed Qi. Could it be this person? Thinking of this, Jun Haoyan's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness, but it quickly disappeared. Junior sister Mou, do you not like me that much? Facing Jun Moyo's cold face, Sing Shan smiled bitterly. If you have something to say it quickly. I don't have time to be long-winded with you. Jun Moyo said coldly. She looked extremely impatient, as if she hated Sing Shan very much. Seeing that Jun Moyo didn't give him any face, Sing Shan's face also turned cold. He said indifferently, Junior sister Mou, what do you think about the matter I told you last time? There's nothing to consider. I won't join you. Hearing this, Jun Moyo's expression was extremely cold, and she directly refused. Junior sister, you have to think carefully. The decision you make will have a great impact on you. Seeing Jun Moyo directly refuse, Sing Shan frowned and said coldly, "You've refused so many times. I'm afraid that person is a little angry." When he mentioned that person, Jun Moyo's expression suddenly became confident. In the Langya sacred ground, there was probably no one who could refuse the invitation of that person. Hee, what does his anger have to do with me? Hearing this, Jun Moyo's expression became even colder. She said, "Sing Shan, let me tell you, I'm also very angry now. If you don't leave MOU Divine Peak, don't blame me for falling out with you." As soon as she finished speaking, a strong fluctuation of true origin suddenly appeared around Jun Moyo's body. Jun Haoyan only felt the air suddenly become cold, and in an instant, there were traces of snowflakes floating down. The aura emitted by a Yuan Dan powerhouse could already affect the surrounding heaven and earth. Seeing this scene, a cold light flashed in Sing Shan's eyes, but soon a bright smile appeared on his face. "Since junior sister MOU doesn't welcome me, I'll take my leave first." After saying that, Sing Shan prepared to leave MOU Divine Peak. However, at this time, he suddenly looked at Jun Haoyan. He looked at Jun Haoyan and felt that he was very unfamiliar. He didn't seem to be from the Langya sacred ground. "Junior sister MOU, I wonder who this is?" Looking at Jun Haoyan, Sing Shan asked Jun Moyo casually. However, when Sing Shan said this, the surrounding air became obviously colder. The entire MOU Divine Peak seemed to have turned into an iceberg. "This is my younger brother, who is about to enter the Langya sacred ground." Jun Moyo looked coldly at Sing Shan, and there was a serious warning in her eyes. "Your younger brother?" Hearing this, Sing Shan was stunned, and then a smile appeared on his face. He looked at Jun Haoyan, and there was an inexplicable smile in his eyes. "I see. Junior sister MOU, I didn't expect you to have such a talented younger brother." After saying that, Sing Shan looked at Jun Moyo again, and there was a flash of ridicule in his eyes. Among all the true disciples of the Langya sacred ground, Jun Moyo's cultivation was not the highest, but her identity was somewhat special, so they didn't dare to use force. Jun Moyo didn't have any weaknesses, so Jun Moyo dared to refuse his request again and again. At this moment, seeing Jun Haoyan, Sing Shan seemed to have found a breakthrough. Thinking of this, a bright smile appeared on Sing Shan's face. He looked at Jun Haoyan and said, "Junior sister MOU's younger brother is one of us. Don't worry, senior brother will take good care of you in the future." At the end of his words, Sing Shan's tone faintly carried a hint of threat. Sing Shan had been dissatisfied with Jun Moyo's repeated rejections. Now that he knew of Jun Haoyan's existence, he naturally wouldn't let him go. "Sing Shan, how dare you?" Hearing Sing Shan's words, Jun Moyo's face turned ashen, and the true essence in her body instantly erupted, as if she was about to attack. "Sister." At this time, Jun Haoyan reached out and patted Jun Moyo's shoulder, causing Jun Moyo's aura to instantly calm down. Quickly hiding the coldness in his eyes, Jun Haoyan looked at Sing Shan with a smile. "Junior brother is new here, so I'll have to trouble senior brother Chi to take care of me in the future." "Sure." Hearing this, Sing Shan was stunned. Then, he took a deep look at Jun Haoyan, and directly rose into the air, quickly disappearing from the MOU Divine Peak. Chapter 73. Sister, it seems like you're having a hard time in the Langya sacred ground. After Sing Shan had left, Jun Haoyan walked over to Jun Moyo with a questioning look in his eyes. What can a mere Sing Shan do to me?" Jun Moyo snorted coldly when he heard that. He had no intention of explaining to Jun Haoyan. He took out a token from his storage ring and said, "The Langya sacred ground will apply to join the inner court in 3 days. Take my token, and you can join the Langya sacred ground directly." Jun Moyo seemed to have thought of something and said, "Haoyan, after joining the Langya sacred ground, try not to go out. Wait for me to come back." "Wait for you to come back? Where are you going?" Jun Haoyan was puzzled when he heard that. "I have an extremely important matter to attend to, so I must leave for a period of time. You must be careful at all times during these few days." Jun Moyo explained. "If someone deliberately makes things difficult for you, bear with it. Wait for me to come back. I'll definitely help you vent your anger. Jun Moyo instructed Jun Haotian a lot. Sing Shan's words just now made him feel a little uneasy. He wanted Jun Haotian to join the Langya sacred ground as soon as possible, so that Jun Haotian's life would not be in danger. However, she also knew that with Sing Shan's power in the Langya sacred ground, it would be very easy for him to find trouble with Jun Haotian. Therefore, Jun Moyo seemed to be reminding Jun Haotian to be patient. He just had to wait for her to come back. When that time came, she would definitely avenge her brother. Jun Moyo's people must not be bullied. Okay, I'll try my best to be patient. Seeing Jun Moyo's worried expression, Jun Haotian immediately agreed. Although he verbally agreed to Jun Moyu's request, Jun Haotian's heart was somewhat disapproving. Jun Haotian's principle in life had always been to repay grievances with grievances, and take revenge with revenge. If anyone dared to bully him, then don't blame him for being impolite. Yes, you must remember my words. After I leave, you just stay on Emotion Peak. I will give the order, and the people on Emotion Peak will naturally take care of your daily needs. Jun Moyo was relieved when he saw Jun Haotian agree. Clearly, she cared a lot about her younger brother. As an elder sister, she had left home at a young age, and had not fulfilled her responsibilities as an elder sister. This had always made her feel guilty. Now that his younger brother had come to rely on him, he could not let him suffer the slightest grievance. Moreover, she was confident that she could protect Jun Haotian. Jun Moyo took out a scroll of jade slips from his storage ring, and said to Jun Haotian, "These jade slips contain some information about the Langya sacred ground, and the martial god continent. If you are bored here, you can take a look." Hearing this, Jun Haotian could not help but be overjoyed. These jade slips could help him understand the Langya sacred ground, and the martial god continent. Next, Jun Moyo arranged for Jun Haotian to stay on Emotion Peak. As a true disciple, Jun Moyo's Emotion Peak was her exclusive territory. On this divine mountain, she naturally had the greatest authority. At this moment, on a towering main peak of the Langya sacred ground, this main peak was very large, and there were many buildings on it. There were also origin formations that condensed the yuan qi of heaven and earth. However, in terms of the density of the yuan qi of heaven and earth, this main peak was far inferior to Emotion Peak. This main peak was the He Yuan Peak of the Langya sacred ground. The people who lived on it were the core disciples of the Langya sacred ground. In the Langya sacred ground, only those who had reached the status of a true disciple were qualified to own their own divine mountain. Below the level of a true disciple, there were dozens of people who lived on one peak. At this moment on the He Yuan Peak, in the Purple Moon Hall, a woman in a long green dress was sitting in the middle of the hall. The woman's face was extremely beautiful, and her skin was fairer than snow. The aura she exuded was even more enchanting. This woman was Long Ziyue. At this moment, her beautiful eyes were filled with endless murderous intent. The true origin around her surged, layer by layer, as if it was about to materialize. "What you said, is it true?" At this moment, a man was kneeling in the hall. This man was also a disciple of the Long family. When Jun Haotian annihilated the Long family, he had escaped because he was working outside. "It's true. Princess, you must avenge the Duke and the young master. They died so tragically." The man knelt on the ground, his face filled with hatred. Jun Haotian. Upon hearing that, Long Ziyue was filled with murderous intent. Her true origin was raging, and she could not wait to tear Jun Haotian into pieces. She was filled with regret. She should not have spared Jun Haotian's life back then. How long had he been gone? She did not know what kind of opportunity Jun Haotian had encountered that allowed him to annihilate the governor's mansion in such a ruthless manner. She must avenge him. Boom. At this moment, an extremely terrifying aura suddenly descended on the Purple Moon Hall. Feeling this aura, Long Ziyue was shocked. The disciple of the Long family who was kneeling on the ground trembled. This aura was no different from the heavens to a martial artist in the Qi condensation realm like him. And he almost fainted. Senior brother Qi. Upon seeing the person's face, Long Ziyue's expression suddenly relaxed. She immediately waved her hand at the hall and asked him to leave. The person who came was Tsing Shan, who had just left Moyushan Peak. Junior sister Long, why are you so angry? Tsing Shan looked at Long Ziyue with a gentle smile on his face. It's just a small matter. Senior brother, you don't have to worry about it. Hearing that, Long Ziyue's expression changed slightly, and she said slowly. Tsing Shan stared at Long Ziyue with a calm expression and said, Junior sister, I remember you once said that the Jun family has been annihilated. But why are there still people from the Jun family alive? Upon hearing that, Long Ziyue's expression changed drastically. Could it be that Tsing Shan also knew about the annihilation of the Long family? Senior brother, I will destroy the Jun family as soon as possible, Long Ziyue said solemnly. It's too late. Jun Haoyan of the Jun family has already arrived at the Langya sacred ground. Jun Moyo is going to bring him to join the Langya sacred ground. Tsing Shan said calmly. What, Jun Haoyan has arrived at the Langya sacred ground? Long Ziyue's expression changed drastically. She did not expect Jun Haoyan to act so quickly. It's useless to think about this now. You should know what that person's purpose is. He only cares about results. As long as we deal with Jun Moyo, we will have completed our mission. Tsing Shan did not dwell on this issue, and directly mentioned the important person behind him. That important person was also Jun Moyo, and Tsing Shan's biggest backer, in the Langya sacred ground. Long Ziyue was able to become a core disciple in such a short time. Other than her own talent and special constitution, it was all because of this important person behind her. Originally, Jun Moyo was all alone in the world. He had no relatives or friends, so there was no weakness. He was stubborn, and we couldn't do anything about it. Tsing Shan looked at Long Ziyue and said slowly, But now that Jun Haoyan has arrived, I want to see how Jun Moyo will submit. Senior brother, you mean to start with Jun Haoyan and force Jun Moyo to submit? Long Ziyue immediately understood what Tsing Shan meant. Chapter 74. That's right. From the looks of it, Jun Moyo seems to value his younger brother a lot. If we start with Jun Haoyan, we can definitely make Jun Moyo submit to us. Tsing Shan sneered. Senior brother Qi, leave this matter to me. I'm quite familiar with Jun Haoyan. Long Ziyue suggested to Tsing Shan. That's fine. I hope you won't disappoint me this time. Tsing Shan looked at Long Ziyue and nodded. It would be best if he did not have to do it himself. By the way, junior sister, about what I said to you last time, shouldn't you give me an answer? Suddenly, Tsing Shan seemed to have recalled something. He smiled ambiguously and looked at Long Ziyue gently. Qi Shan had coveted the beautiful junior sister apprentice in front of him for a long time. I'm sorry, senior brother. I already have someone in my heart. Long Ziyue frowned when she heard Tsing Shan's words. She was even more annoyed by Tsing Shan's perverted gaze. Junior sister, are you still obsessed with that Jun Haoyan? Tsing Shan's face turned cold when he saw Long Ziyue's expression. He did not know that as a true disciple of Langya Holy Ground, he was not as good as Jun Haoyan. Lu Feng, that bastard. I asked him to kill a nobody in a small place, and he actually wasted so much time. When he comes back, I must punish him. Tsing Shan could not help but think of Lu Feng who he had sent out. He was a little annoyed in his heart. That's right. Other than Haoyan, I, Long Ziyue, will not be moved by any other man. Hearing Qi Shan mention Jun Haoyan, an arrogant figure flashed in Long Ziyue's eyes, and a touch of tenderness appeared on her face. Good, very good. Seeing the tenderness on Long Ziyue's face, Tsing Shan was instantly envious. He snorted and disappeared from the Purple Moon Palace. Haoyan, I wonder how you are now. Long Ziyue did not take Tsing Shan's departure to heart. She looked to the west in the direction of Green Cloud Holy Ground with tenderness in her eyes. Haoyan, do you know that Jun Haoyan's uncle has been killed by Jun Haoyan? Long Ziyue's eyes flashed with murderous intent when she recalled Jun Haoyan's grief when he found out that his father was killed by Jun Haoyan. She had planned to leave Langya Holy Ground to kill Jun Haoyan. However, Jun Shi had taken the initiative to kill Long Ziyue. Jun Haoyan, last time Aotion crippled your Dantian, allowing you to escape a calamity. This time, I will make sure you suffer a fate worse than death. I will sacrifice the lives of the Long family members in heaven. The murderous intent in Long Ziu's eyes was almost tangible. On Mo Yushan Peak, Jun Haoyan sat alone on a green rock. There was a stack of jade slips beside him. They were left behind by Jun Moyo. After reading these jade slips, Jun Haoyan finally had a general understanding of this world. According to the jade slips, Langya Holy Ground was established 108,000 years ago. The founder of Langya Holy Ground was known as the Lord of Langya. He was a divine illusionary realm powerhouse who dominated the world. His combat strength was unparalleled, and he had once dominated an era. When he reached his peak, he broke through the void and ascended to the realm of the gods. According to the ancient records, there was another world above the Wushan continent called the realm of the gods. The 7 holy grounds of the human race had divine illusionary realm powerhouses who had broken through the void and entered the realm of the gods. Therefore, the 7 holy grounds of the human race were more or less related to the realm of the gods. Every holy land contained a shocking amount of resources. The realm of the gods was a place where only divine illusionary realm powerhouses could enter. Legend had it that after ascending to the realm of the gods, one could eliminate the 3 calamities and 9 disasters. One would be immortal and live as long as heaven and earth. Those who could not break through the void and enter the realm of the gods, even if they were divine illusionary realm powerhouses, could only live for 100,000 years before disappearing from the world. Therefore, to the disciples of the holy grounds, the purpose of cultivation was not only to become stronger, but also to break through the void and live forever. The jade slips that Jun Haoyan read also recorded some secrets about small worlds. According to the ancient records, the Wushan continent was just one of the 3,000 small worlds below the realm of the gods. There were at least 3,000 worlds like the Wushan continent below the realm of the gods. When he read this, Jun Haoyan was extremely shocked. This world was far bigger than he imagined. Of course, this was still too far away for Jun Haoyan. What he was most concerned about was the information about the Langya Holy Ground. In the Langya Holy Ground, the disciples were divided into 4 levels: outer disciple, inner disciple, core disciple, and true disciple. The cultivation of the outer disciple was almost all below the true energy realm. Only those who had reached the true energy realm could be promoted to inner disciple. In the Langya Holy Ground, true energy realm powerhouses were only inner disciples. However, once their cultivation broke through to the true energy realm level 5, they could apply to become a core disciple. As for true disciple, it was extremely strict. In addition to breaking through to the Yuandan realm, they also had to challenge. In the Langya Holy Ground, there were only 108 sequences for true disciple. They were divided into 72 earthly fiend sequences and 36 heavenly star sequences. To become a true disciple, one had to challenge one of them. If he succeeded, he would replace that true disciple. Of course, if he failed, the Langya Holy Ground would also give him a position as an elder and keep the Yuandan realm powerhouses in the Holy Ground. Of course, an elder position was not as good as a true disciple in terms of treatment and resources. In addition, in the Langya Holy Ground, every disciple only had one chance to challenge a true disciple every year. If they were not confident, no one dared to challenge him. In the face of such pressure, the true disciple in the Langya Holy Ground not only had to have a strong cultivation base, but also had to have a terrifying combat strength. As a true disciple, he was the hope of the Holy Ground's future. He was also the person with real power in the Holy Ground. If he did not have the strength, he could not be ranked among the immortals. It was also because of this that every true disciple was very precious to the Holy Ground. Jun Haoyan heard from the servants on Mo Yushan Peak that Jun Moyo and Xing Shan were both ranked above the 72 earthly fiend sequences. As for the ranking above the true disciple, it was the Holy Sun. In the Langya Holy Ground, there were at most 2 Holy Sun, and the future Holy Lord would be chosen between these 2 people. This was the Holy Ground. It was like a pyramid, and the level of the forest was almost insurmountable. Of course, as long as you had the strength, you could enjoy all of this. The holy ground, I really came to the right place. Jun Haoyan put down the last jade scroll in his hand and smiled slightly. In his heart, he liked the rule of the world where the strong were respected. The real strong were never afraid of death. Chapter 75. I've learned everything I need to know. Next, it's time to cultivate. Jun Haoyan muttered to himself as he stored all the jade scrolls into his storage ring. Jun Moyo had left the Langya sacred ground yesterday to attend to some matters. There were still 2 days left before he could apply to become an inner sect disciple. He couldn't afford to waste these 2 days. Although he was very powerful now, he could even fight against an ordinary Yuan Dan cultivator with his current strength. However, he was still lacking compared to those top prodigies. There were many prodigies in the sacred ground. If he wanted to get better treatment here, he had to constantly improve his strength. Moreover, he hadn't forgotten the first thing he had to do after entering the Langya sacred ground. He had to send Long Ziyue to reunite with Jun Haoyan. However, this was a very difficult task. Long Ziyue had already become a core disciple of the Langya sacred ground. Therefore, her backer had to be at least a true disciple. Moreover, it had to be one of the strongest true disciples. In addition, there was also Tsing Shan, whom he had met the other day. It was obvious that he didn't get along with his sister Jun Moyo. Although it appeared to be peaceful and uneventful, it was actually filled with danger from all sides. Jun Haoyan didn't have a good way to break out of this situation. The only way to solve this problem was to increase his strength. Immediately, Jun Haoyan closed his eyes, immersed his mind and prepared to cultivate. Ding! The check-in time has been refreshed. Would the host like to check in? However, at this moment, the system's notification suddenly sounded. Hearing the notification, Jun Haoyan was overjoyed. At such a critical moment, it would be best if he could get something good from checking in. Check in. Therefore, he answered decisively. Ding! Congratulations to the host for checking in successfully. You have received the 9 Wonders Immortal Elixir. The 9 Wonders Immortal Elixir. This time, he had received the ultimate immortal elixir. The greatest effect of this immortal elixir was to refine the energy in the body, temper the body and transform the body. And what Jun Haoyan needed right now was this elixir of immortality. His body had already absorbed a large amount of yin and yang energy, and the golden-winged rock's essence blood contained a large amount of yin and yang energy as well. As long as he consumed this 9 profundity immortal herb, he would be able to fully refine the yin and yang energy in his body, allowing his soul to transform and advance to the next level. Jun Haoyan's physical body was now infinitely close to a treasure body after being refined day and night by the Gold Emperor's burning heaven's flame. However, without any good fortune, Jun Haoyan would still need to spend a lot of time to condense the treasure body. According to Jun Haoyan's estimation, if he only relied on the Gold Emperor incinerating heaven's flame to temper his body, he would not be able to do so. He still needed at least a few more years before his spirit body could advance a step further and turn into a treasure body. But now that he had the 9 profundity immortal elixir, he wouldn't need to wait that long. There are still 2 days before the registration, which is enough time for me to absorb the medicinal effects of the 9 profundity immortality medicine. Jun Haoyan estimated the time and immediately decided to consume the 9 profundity immortality elixir. After making up his mind, Jun Haoyan returned to the MOU Treasure Palace and took out the 9 profundity immortality elixir. There was a Tao Xian light flowing on the 9 profundity immortality elixir, flashing with all kinds of abstruse and mysterious runes. As expected of the immortality elixir, it has its own laws. Jun Haoyan's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise, and then he swallowed the immortality elixir. Boom! The moment Jun Haoyan swallowed the immortality elixir, a powerful and terrifying aura flowed to every corner of his body. The powerful medicinal effects instantly spread to every part of Jun Haoyan's body. His meridians, cells, pores, and even his internal organs were enveloped by an extremely strong medicinal effect. Under this medicinal effect, Jun Haoyan felt that every cell in his body was undergoing a drastic change. Once again, Jun Haoyan felt the same sensation he had felt when he had transformed into a spirit body. His flesh and blood began to transform under this force. With a thought, Jun Haoyan directly controlled the Gold Emperor's heaven-incinerating flame to appear slowly in his body. The two forces instantly intertwined, producing an even more powerful force. At the same time, the yin-yang energy and the golden-winged rock blood essence in his body gradually merged with Jun Haoyan's body under the effects of the immortality elixir. Waves of extremely powerful yin-yang energy churned in Jun Haoyan's body and gradually engulfed Jun Haoyan's entire body. Behind Jun Haoyan, shadows of primordial mammoths appeared one after another. Jun Haoyan's body continuously condensed mammoth seeds. At this moment, Jun Haoyan's aura was completely unleashed, as if he was an ancient giant. The aura exuding from his body was enough to suppress the 9 underworlds. Fortunately, Jun Moyo's palace was a treasure, and it was protected by an origin formation. Otherwise, the aura exuding from Jun Haoyan's body would definitely affect the other god mountains. As the main character of the immortality elixir was refined, Jun Haoyan felt that every inch of his flesh and blood was changing and transforming. The suppressive power of the primordial mammoth shadow floating behind him also became stronger and stronger. These forces continuously stimulated Jun Haoyan's bloodline to evolve. As Jun Haoyan's body became stronger, the speed at which the mammoth seeds were condensing in his body also increased. 890 seeds, 900 seeds, 920 seeds, 950 seeds. These were merely the aftermath of Jun Haoyan's body's transformation. The real qualitative change was still in Jun Haoyan's body. The transformation process of the body was undoubtedly excruciating. However, Jun Haoyan had even withstood the burning of the Gold Emperor's heaven-incinerating flame. So what was this? Boom! The power in his body surged once again, and Jun Haoyan's body suddenly underwent a shocking change. All his pores were inhaling and exhaling essence chi, and his skin became crystal clear and white like snow. Just like the bright and beautiful glass, it was dazzling. In addition, in Jun Haoyan's body, his soul actually became almost transparent, pure and flawless. If one looked closely, they could even see traces of golden light emitting from inside. His body was like a golden body, and his soul was like a golden light. This was a sign that he was about to be promoted to a treasure body. A treasure body was unparalleled in terms of physical strength, and it could resist an origin weapon. It was a rare occurrence that happened once in 1,000 years. Moreover, Jun Haoyan's body had fused with a large amount of yin and yang energy. The treasure body that he condensed seemed to be extraordinary as well. Yin and yang were in balance, and they multiplied endlessly. The treasure body that Jun Haoyan condensed was actually the rare yin and yang treasure body. Under the influence of the yin and yang treasure body, Jun Haoyan discovered that his true essence was actually emitting a fluctuation of the laws of yin and yang. Although it was not very obvious, Jun Haoyan could vaguely feel it. Feeling the fluctuation of the laws of yin and yang, Jun Haoyan was immediately shocked. This kind of fluctuation of the laws of yin and yang was not as simple as Jun Haoyan's. In the martial god continent, there was a famous saying, "Without the Yuan Dan, yin and yang could not be distinguished." It meant that martial artists who had not reached the Yuan Dan realm could not distinguish between yin and yang with their true essence. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.